which you probably don't know. But
Right, exactly. I was just being accommodating by saying, right.
sure.
This is the Imperial Schools of Honor podcast. I am Josh Folan.
And I am Jeff Burns.
And we're going to be bullshitting about the formative years of home computer gaming as we revisit the feelies that accompany it again for the first time. We are blasting onward in our first Edit CONFIG.SYS quest, where we incrementally fiddle with an old school PC computer game, start to finish with the assistance of vintage game literature. We are cruising the cosmos with Roger Wilco and Sierra Online's 1990 release of the VGA remaster of Space Quest 1, intended for PC compatibles. The accompanied literatures of antiquity for us here are the 16-page packet instruction manual and the 43-page official Sierra Space Quest 1 VGA hint book. It's a lot of words to title a book. The link to a PDF of both those will be in the show notes for the duration of the quest, which won't go any longer past this episode, actually. So it's in the show notes for both of them. What rig are you playing the game on currently, Jab?
God, was I supposed to have this right? It's a laptop. It's my school laptop. God, I don't know where I put that info. It's not great, but it's a lot better than what we used to play these on.
I am dose boxing on my PC, keyboard and mouse controls just like the good old days, and it is an Intel i7 260 gigahertz processor with 16 gigabytes of RAM, and the graphic situation is an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 2060 with 6 gigabytes of dedicated VRAM.
This is the one that burned your leg?
Playing Baldur's Gate, it did. Yes, it did burn my leg. And I can't. Amy ordered them, so I don't have the name of them. But the little lazy fuck gaming on his couch lap desk thing that we ordered with a little cooling fan built into it is legit. It is a very useful little device to have if you have a laptop that burns you. Anyways, I guess maybe it's probably good for any laptop because it keeps it cool. But particularly if it's singeing your fucking leg, please rate and review the pod wherever you listen. If you enjoy our shit, it helps. Where we left off, in the first episode, we plowed through the instruction manual and the hint book opening before jumping into the game ever so briefly, where we only played the opening moments, where we had to tactfully avoid being vaped by the Sarien space pirates running amok on the Arcata, who stole the star generator and initiated the self-destruct sequence on the ship as we made our way to the escape pod. And once we left there, the pod's autonav locked onto the nearest planet, Corona, and crash landed in a barren desert region on it. And we pick up here just moments after the pod comes to a busted-up stop. Roger still safely buckled in the pilot seat because seatbelts save lives. And here on Corona, the music is absolutely fucking horrific. My pug baby was head tilting at me like I was full-blown torturing him the entire time this track played in earshot of him. The little head tilt things that pugs do. And you have to unbuckle the seatbelt to exit, and then Roger climbs outside the pod and takes stock of his situation. And the pod took quite a bit of damage getting to a stop in the rocky desert. Its nose is partially buried, and the windshield is spidered pretty badly. And I don't know, for some reason, the, term of a spidered windshield makes me think of Mad Mike, and I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
Here's something really fucked up. Here's something really fucked up. So you were, God, I can't believe this guy weasels his way into all our conversations.
It makes perfect sense.
It does make sense, actually, when you get to know us.
Yeah, if you talk to any therapist or psychological expert of any kind, they would 100% just go, yeah, that tracks.
The guy who traumatized you severely, yeah, it's going to come up a lot. When you mentioned earlier that seatbelts save lives, do you remember that your dad got into that? I think he got hit by a semi-truck in some.
Yeah, no, of course, yes, yeah.
And he wasn't wearing his seatbelt.
It was right around when I was born. I've heard a lot of actually interesting stuff. Ted's told me a lot of interesting stories recently about that time and shit. But yeah, and his whole thing, which is just that's the
word. Like, okay, so basically to finish the story, he got hit. He wasn't wearing his seatbelt, got thrown out of the car, right. And then if he had been in the car with his seatbelt on, he would have died.
So he says, and that's the funny
true,
thing.
actually.
That's the funny thing about
That's
this.
a really good point.
Ted told me completely different information about he was outside it was not that. Like the story Ted told me was basically completely invalidated this. But yeah, the logic here is that he spent the rest of his life, or the important part of this, I suppose, of this takeaway in his mind, is that he spent the rest of his life unwilling to wear seatbelts. On the logic that, yes, if he'd had it on, he supposedly would have died in that instance, as if that extrapolates into a bigger data set, even if that were true, even if as if it extrapolates into a bigger data set as being a valid foundation from which to build this fucking lifelong thesis about seatbelts.
I mean, it's a 1 in a billion thing, and his one came up in that billion, and then life was like, so how do you want to proceed going forward? He was like, run that back.
Right.
I'm gonna bet on that again.
Right. Yeah, but here's the thing. Yeah, he got hit. The truck hit. He was like outside. He was like. Ted told me, I'm spacing a little bit on the details now because I don't really care when he was telling me, but it was something like he was outside, like underneath the car, working on it or something, trying to fix something. He did not get hit. Like, he wasn't like driving and like hit head on by a semi. He was outside the car already. So there's no way that the reason he survived, is because the seatbelt wasn't on. There's no way.
Fucking knows.
So yeah, I would say is that.
So he lied. So this is a lie.
It's a lifelong fishtail, according to Ted. Granted, I mean, I don't know why Ted would make up errant information about that, but maybe people misremember. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Either way, like we said, honestly, that's a fun side note. The crazy thing is to build the idea that you're going to spend the rest of your life with no seatbelts because of that one moment that you supposedly claim saved your life not wearing one. That's fucking crazy.
Psychotic.
But yeah, his windshield was probably spidered in that situation too.
Guarantee it.
Right. To bring us back into Wilco here. There is one large glass shard lying on the ground below the windshield, and it clearly warrants being picked up for later. It sparkles quite a bit, and they are hammering on you that you'll need it for reflection purposes at some point. When you inspect it in your inventory, the copy you get it's that highly reflective piece of broken cockpit glass. So you'll need to use it to bounce something somewhere light-wise.
Literally never played this game, I maybe not to this point at least, and I immediately knew what it was going to be for.
Right. Yeah, and I don't think that's probably, if you want to call it a puzzle, that little hall we're about to get to later in Corona here, where you just go through these various like just trope adventure game puzzle situations. Like that was the one out of all those incredibly easy and easy to discern the solution of situations. That was easily the one. I was like, yeah, of course, obviously you use this. It's the quickest,
very clear,
quickest to it. Yeah. Something is also kind of sort of visible in the pod, maybe definitely kind of sort of through the open door if you are really, really parsing pixels. And this is a survival kit, and inside it you will find a xenon army knife and a canister of dehydrated water. The knife is self-explanatory, but what the fuck exactly is dehydrated water, you say? You inspect this, it says, the can label says Pelvitron dehydrated water, and they give you the molecular buildup or structure of it, H2. All you add is air, makes 10 gallons. Caution, do not attempt to open or rupture container. Misuse could result in personal injury and or flash flooding. And I think it's very important to note to me that air is an awfully loose term there. The oxygen molecule that finishes off the makeup of H2O isn't necessarily the gas that all beings of the galaxy would breathe. Am I wrong in making that connection? Like, it may not be oxygen that would just be readily available to you, I'm saying.
Yeah, I would assume that's correct. My biochemistry is not great. I'm an electrical engineer, not a biochemist. But we assume that most life that we're going to encounter is carbon-based, and if it's carbon-based, that may have
suggest that. That's possible, I suppose. But
sure.
again, the warning, I guess, it still warrants the warning, I suppose. But it's there's another thing, because with your helmet coming in and on and off on this, it's another thing. Like,
I was wondering about that.
Like. I have a note about that later too. It's like that. If it's oxygen here.
What's the helmet?
That seems like a big leap to me.
We'll talk about that later. But also the air that we breathe is like O2, so I don't know. I mean, again, this is a fucking stupid dehydrated water that we're talking about, so I don't know why we're getting all technical about it, but it's O2 out there, so it's HO, and then you add the O2, now you've got H2, excuse me, no wait, H2, never mind, I fucked that up.
It is H2 in the thing, is what it says.
It's H2 in there? Okay.
Right, which is, yes, would be the just oxygen short molecule of water.
Yeah, and then if you added air, you'd get H2O2, unless there's some way that fucking the two bond together and they lose an oxygen molecule. I don't know. I hate
if
chemistry.
It's irrelevant. Yeah, I also am not a huge
physics.
fan.
I took physics over the summer when I broke my arm, and it was so fucking fun. I enjoyed that class so much. Chemistry can go fuck itself.
Chemistry's tough. I was going to be, I'm sure I've told this, I think I've told this on the pod, but I shadowed a chemist in 7th grade. And with the full, I spent my entire grade school years infatuated with my chemistry set and science and all this stuff. And I followed that guy around for a day and I was like, nope, don't want to, this isn't not interesting. Not enough test tubes here. I'm not fucking down.
Where's I need the acid. What's going on here? I want to burn things. This is lame.
Yeah. Where's the Bunsen burner? We should be cooking something.
Yeah, being an engineer ain't much better.
He did give me to the credit. I wish I could recall it clear enough to know whether I incentivized this in some way by either complaining or exhibiting a lack of being impressed, something, but he did, I remember, gave me some test tubes at the end of the day to take home with me. So I must have talked, you would think anyways, I must have demonstrated some interest in having some.
Right. Where the fuck are the test tubes at? He's like, just here, get out of here, man.
We got some, yeah, there's we got the supply closet. We do have a supply closet. The shit's here. We just don't have to use it.
Right, we don't use it all the time. I don't know what you think this job is, but...
Right.
Also, 7th grade Josh Folan going into a chemistry lab and following somebody around, that seems terrible. I'm sorry if that offends you, but that seems terrible.
Yeah, it was, that was before...
Where was the lab at? Do you know where it was?
It was Oberlin College. Shit. Okay.
Yeah,
I was a chemist at Oberlin College. I of course, don't recall the building or anything, which I know would be more fun to hear. But yeah, I don't recall where it was. I want to have this vague suggestion that it was on what would that be, the north side of Lorraine?
Yeah, that was where the chemistry building was. They've since torn it down and made a new one.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, that's where it was. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's maybe right by the hospital. Is that?
No, a little further east. It's actually across it was across the street from Wilder, if you remember where that is.
Yeah, Wilder's where the concert venue was, right?
Yes, they had the scope.
And that's where the arcade. They had an arcade at one point too. And it's insane that we did not have. Yeah. We didn't know that and go there when we were kids. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Everyone, all my other friends knew about it, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we go in there with a screwdriver and pry it open and rob the quarters and just play." I was like, "Fuck, I missed it."
Yeah. What did we not miss?
I know.
Okay, so yeah, I immediately tried this dehydrated water on Raj, thinking it would blow his fucking head off in a really cool death, as this game is wont to do. But he calmly removes his helmet, which again, that's immediately these two things paired together in my mind very easily and quickly here. But I would think that should also kill him if he needs the helmet at all. Then when he takes it off, it should something should happen.
The only thing I got is
pressurization or the air thing.
The only thing I got is temperature control, because that does come into play later.
Yeah, okay.
That's all I got.
That's a good logic. That's a good logic, I suppose. And you could maybe survive a few seconds, especially just to drink some water, which is an equally important life cycle or life function.
I want to point out real quick, this water is right, when I inspected the water myself, it was right where the game it made me go, wait, really? And then, as the game goes on, I was like, "Oh shit! There's a little more to this game than I thought there was."
How? Elaborate.
I guess we'll talk about it when we encounter some shit in the near future here, because I want to see how you navigated something, because I think I did it different.
Okay. Well, when you use the water, I found this interesting too. It doesn't consume it. Goes back to your inventory, you have plenty to last you, supposedly.
It says it makes you 10 gallons, so...
That's true, yeah. So I randomly chose to head off-screen left here was my initial decision, and after doing so, a large blue, menacing-looking worm pops up out of the sand near the crash site and looks around, and they accentuate that menacingness with another rather grating music cue, and if you keep walking further at all, you can walk onto that next screen and nothing happens. But if you stay there and keep walking off to what I guess the next left screen to the left, one of these worms will come right up under you, and it tosses you up in the air, then catches you in one casual chomp. And the death text for that reads, "Whoa, those big guys pack a powerful appetite. Did you feel the way that thing just chomped right through your skeletal system? That had to hurt. The Grell burps in solitary satisfaction. He often, or doesn't often, get nice warm meals like you." And did that happen to you? Did you get murdered?
Oh my God, yes.
Okay, yeah.
Instantly thought of Tremors, which I'm now writing down
Right.
on my movies to watch list.
Yeah, I've never watched that. There's a
good,
hand.
dude.
It's a Stephen King thing, right?
That's a great question. I have no idea.
I think it is I'm pretty sure it's a Stephen King. There's a lot of Stephen King things that I've been, one of the podcasts I listen to, Tadpog, they've been talking a lot about The Dark Tower recently as if it's like the greatest book ever, and I have not read that either. And I've been looking for things to read anyways, so maybe I'll drop that in there. But going through his catalog and at least hitting, I read Deb's copy, I think, had a copy of Pet Sematary. I think I read that.
God, she did. That's right. Holy
And she also had a copy of the one with the monkey on it, Shine something. Yeah, I can't recall.
No idea. Is that?
It's not The Shining.
No, and I was thinking of The Stand, which is not right either.
Right.
And then I was thinking of the movie Outbreak, which is also not right. So,
No, but that's a great 1995 Dustin Hoffman film, though.
that movie is why COVID got so bad in this country, because I really think that a lot of people looked around and they were like, "Well, I don't see the assholes walking around on the street with like the environmental suits. It must be fine." And then 1.1 million Americans died.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, but that's a great flick. The other one I read is The Dome, which is very good. It's fucking huge. I had someone got me a physical copy of it. It's probably one of the last physical copy books that I carried around New York with me, and that was a tome. And I remember needing a backpack just because normally you can just carry a book, set down. This book required a backpack.
Yeah, books can typically fit comfortably in your hand, but once they hit the binding hits a certain depth, you probably need a bag.
Cumbersome. Yeah, it was intense. Yeah, and I carried that fucker around forever. It's so good, dude. It's like this bullshit middle of nowhere town that one day everyone wakes up and they're underneath a dome. And the outside world can't get in, and they can't get out, and no one knows why it's there. And to top it off, it's like a meth hotspot. So, so there's all these meth
now we're
heads.
locked in here.
Yeah. So there's this meth lab, local dynamic, local fucking government problem thing. They're of course intertwined in the meth shit, and it's a really interesting and good book. They made a TV series out of it that wasn't very good. It had the bald guy from. The bald cop from Jesus Christ, I'm spacing on the name of it. The other meth series.
Why is all your conversation revolving around meth?
Yeah, I don't know. The Breaking Bad. He's the cop from Breaking Bad.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
The bald one.
I don't know his name.
What's his name?
Hank's his name in the movie.
Hank. Well, yes, Hank is his name in the show. Yeah. In any case, he's the lead in it, I think, and it didn't. I don't think it lasted very long. So I remember trying to watch it and being like, just like most books, bad adaptation.
Yep.
But yeah, those are all the ones I've read.
I can't read, so yeah.
It's in LA. It's harder in real life. In New York, it was very easy because you had the downtime on the subway. In real life, since moving to LA, I've read a lot less, and it upsets me a great deal. So I've recently made a very deliberate decision to force myself to read before bed. At least
that's smart. I want to adopt a policy like that too, but I think fucking smartphones have broken my attention span, unfortunately.
It's tough, dude. It's tough.
It really sucks, actually.
Yep. Oh, so yeah, if you go to the south, you get one of those worms too from the crash site. So your only real option here is to head east or right. I guess it doesn't necessarily have to be on.
We can do cardinal directions. I mean,
compass.
Let's just do cardinal directions for the sake of these.
Okay. So if you head east, there is a curiosity-piquing visual in the form of a gigantic skeletal structure of some kind to urge you to stick to that course, which is the image I have behind me right now if you're watching and not just listening. And the music also changes for the better here slightly. It's a little better here. So
I will say there's a banger later.
I'm not talking shit about the soundtrack on the whole, but this planet had some fucked up segments for sure.
Yeah.
I like that, cringy fucking old mid-eye shit for the most part, but this one was like, oh my god, this is a terrible, thing to have to listen to on repeat. So, taking a gander at that skeleton, the description reads, a wide selection of skeletal accessories awaits your perusal. Vertebrae, ribs, and who knows what else rest upon the Coronian soil. The average height of this structure looks to be at least 7 meters. Good thing you didn't meet this thing in its heyday. And I don't know exactly how tall 7 meters is. It's probably, less than 7 feet, right?
No, it's like 22 and some change. 22 feet.
Yeah. 3 meters.
About 3.3.
Yardstick. So you head south along the bone structure for one screen, and a dialog box pops up. At least for me, and I guess I kind of learned with some loading and saving stuff here that it doesn't necessarily happen on any one particular screen, so some semi-randomized. But when this happened to me for the first time, it read, out of the corner of your eye, you spot an object hurtling from the greenish atmosphere towards the parched surface you currently occupy. And then a silver orb lands in the dirt nearby, and more copy pops up. Rats! If the eyes don't deceive, that's a Sarien spider droid. They must have detected the escape pod leaving the Arcata. The spider droid must have been sent along to settle any unfinished business. After the jarring impact, small panels open through which legs sprout. You recall reading in an old issue of Space Piston magazine that this droid was designated to seek out organic life forms and self-destruct when close proximity to the target has been achieved. So now we have a Terminator on our tail, and this fucking thing blew me up right away. It is faster than you.
So it landed near enough to you then?
Yes.
Yeah,
the first time, yes, it was like I had walked onto the screen that I guess is maybe, because the skeleton it's on this 3x3 grid of screens, so like 9 screen square, and I think I walked on the middle left, so you're like right up against the spine that's kind of up against the left side of the screen, so I didn't even have anywhere to go, really. Like, yeah. I'm not even sure I could have gotten away, really, to be honest with you. And this thing will follow you onto another screen anyways. It's not like super old school shitty clip a enemy off the edge of the screen kind of thing. Anyways, so yeah, I mean, I think I was fucked no matter what that first the first time that I got popped by one. And it says the joyous demise copy for this reads, how convenient, you've been blown up into handy bite-sized chunks. I guess that Space Piston article wasn't fiction. Yeah. So this thing is chasing you around this area nonstop for the most part,
which is an interesting feature, because later there's points in the game where you have to deal with enemies, like, seeing you and encountering them and dealing with them, and they don't follow you off the screen. Like I guess they kind of do, actually.
Yeah, I don't know if I can't recall.
It's like later in the game, and like if you're going, like they walk off screen, and like if you're counting in your head, like they are doing that movement off screen in the other direction. So I don't know. Either way, I thought it was actually a pretty cool feature for this thing to follow you around for a 1991 game.
For sure, yeah. No, I mean, and if you think that the idea that there would be object permanence in this code, which is kind of what you're describing there, is a little mind-blowing to me. To hear that you even if it was just like convinced yourself of it, whether or not it actually happened. If you could feel like it could be happening, that's good enough.
For sure.
Just to give you an idea that an actual world persists out there beyond this one screen that you're on. Which is, more credit than I'd give one of these games.
And I only expect that to get better as the games go on. And I want to point out real quick, as you know this, the audience does not, I finally got the VGA version working, the point and click.
Oh, yeah.
This game looks good, dude.
For the era, yeah.
I fucking mean it. Like, I like the graphics. I like the art style. Like, I'm honestly excited to play the rest of the games. And, like, I'm kind of, Anyways.
Yeah, the VGA remakes, like the hint book said, it was an effort. They didn't half-ass these redos of these remasters, where they put some effort. They hired some artists. Like I said, they even added things to accentuate that new artwork and what that artwork was capable of. So yeah, they did not. I think I talked some shit about Sierra in a modern context in the first episode as it relates to that VR iteration of Colossal Cave. But back then, there was a reason these games were revered. They were the pinnacle of what you could find on PCs in this form. You know what I mean? So, I agree. They look great. So on that 9x9 grid, the middle right screen of that, it has a large skull that you can walk into the open mouth of, and inside that is an Orat standing in front of a pile of humanoid skulls. And the way they describe an Orat to you is it's a huge and ugly, or Orat is huge and ugly. Of course, your opinion may differ depending on what part of the universe you come from. You also get the impression that he might be quite mean. And Orat is reptilian in appearance, I would say, and stands upright on his hind legs and has large fangs protruding from his mouth. And if you stand here in the doorway for any time at all, he runs over, and Roger screams, "Oh no!" And then the Orat yokes Raj up, stuffs him in a little ball, and then begins dribbling him on the cave floor like a basketball, which I thought was fantastic. Mm-hmm. And the death copy for this is, Orat has transformed you into a new piece of recreation equipment. Along with finding this treatment extremely rude, you don't survive it. And then the death box copy reads, "It's tough to make friends around here. Relax, stretch out, restore, and let's get back to it. There's adventuring to be done." And yeah, again, we kind of talked about it before in that first episode, but I just love that, like, they so jovially include death in the game loop, you know?
Yeah.
It's fantastic. It's a fantastic tonality.
They expect you to die, and I also just love this game's general tone, just like the way that they you know, like the way that you observe things as the character, as Roger, like it's all got one kind of particular tone about it, and they stick with it, and it's funny and self-deprecating, and
yep.
As a former custodian, I just want to say that I finally feel seen and heard in the world.
That's great, yeah. I identify as Roger Wilco. On the bottom right of that 3x3 matrix, the skeletal structure's vertebrae goes down into the ground, acting as a ramp entryway up onto the elevated area of the skeleton. And on the way here, you'll see quite a few sprouts of this purple flora near the skeletal remains. And if you grab it, you are treated to an animation of Roger like struggling with getting it into his pocket because of its incredibly sticky nature. And the examination copy for this is simply a piece of sticky, stinking, rotting plant. And so if grab some of that shit and then head up the ramp, and you follow that elevated vertebrae to the middle screen on the 3x3, where there is a clear weak point of the catwalk that is ready to collapse on the ground below. And to trigger this, to actually make it fall, you have to walk across it 3 times. So each of the first 2 times you are given some warning dialogue of the impending disaster that doing this is heading towards. And the thing about that, like, I guess I'll just flat out ask you to simplify it. Did you think this is how you kill the fucking spider droid?
I did.
Yes. I thought I remembered doing it that way.
Why did this seem so fucking familiar to me? Like, this scene seemed really familiar.
Yeah, I agree. And maybe we sat there and tried to do it that way.
Maybe.
Which is funny because you definitely can't.
Well, I'm so I want to know how. I want to get to the next step so badly. I'm curious what happened here.
Okay. If you tell me you did it that way, I'm going to be pissed because I tried really hard to make it happen.
It's going to be you first and then me.
Okay. So if you follow this elevator route all the way to the end, in the top right corner of the 3x3, you see something hanging on the bone sticking up. And from afar, if you try to examine it, it appears to be a sign, and you might be able to read it if you get closer, is what you're told. So if you do get closer, you will fall into a pit trap that appears, and you tumble down a shaft that was clearly built by intelligent life. And it has a very industrious look to it, to a cave below. And your eye, and so if you've gone into this cave, which I guess that's a question, did you, because I guess you don't have to go down here to take care of the Orat. So did you end up in the cave first?
I ended up in the cave first.
Okay. So
through saves or through death and reloads, I ended up, my flowchart was different, but yes, for intents and purposes, I went to the cave first.
All right, word. So you come down here, and your eye is immediately drawn to a stalagmite in the background where the tip appears to be held in place by some purple adhesive, probably the plant we found, of course. So you go over, you can rip the cone off the rock, take it with you. I did so. Smelling the goo left behind, you find its aroma to be maggot gagging, is how it describes the smell of that purple shit. And you can, once you have the cone in your hand, you can scrape the goo off the tip, and it goes in your inventory in the same way that if you would grab one of the plants above ground do. So they are very adamant about you having that with you. So I guess that was kind that they gave you 2 roots to it.
I didn't do it that way, and man, is this game detailed, and some of the things that you can fucking inspect, like they really let you inspect and like build a world. It's kind of incredible, actually.
I've just played so many of these games that I know how much, jamming together of inventory items, just like, dude, just slapping them together. Do these work? Is this the solution to my puzzle?
Just keep clicking.
Yeah. So I leave no stone. Like the second something goes into my inventory, I'm probably trying it against everything else I have and seeing and using every possible command on it in the inventory, because you just never know. There's an instance later where I'm just like there's all these games have so many of them where you're like, man, fuck, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Come on. Like, yes, maybe in hindsight, but never would you logically get there. You have to be in that mode of just slapping things together to get some of these things. But yes, you can scrape that purple shit off here. So you head off left into the next room from where you come down into the cave, and there is a large metal grate on the cave floor, and when you approach it, a number of tentacles come up from it. Examining this, you are told this is a great monster, it probably just wants to be your friend. And this was another one. Like I said, all these were pretty, like almost immediately I knew what to do. In this case, same thing. I looked at it and I was like, sticky shit. And I threw the sticky shit at it or used it on it, and Roger throws it, is the way he uses it. And it lands near the grate, and the tentacles hit it and get stuck to it, and then you can walk by without getting eaten or grabbed by these things, which I think rip you apart, if I recall correctly, when you actually die.
You recall incorrectly. They pull you down into the grate.
Oh, okay.
Because I thought I could sneak past it. I knew I couldn't, but I was like, I never fucking know. So I tried to sneak past, and it grabbed me, pulled me down in. Can't remember what the copy was. My notes are more general. And, that one, it took me a minute to... That was the most difficult puzzle in the
Well, did you have the sticky shit yet?
Yes, because the plant was there, and of course I'm picking up everything I find in these games.
Okay, right, word. So the next screen after the great monster shit has a door right in front of you, and again looking out of place in the same way that the shaft did, as in it's like an industrial looking built door, that doesn't fit in with the cave aesthetic really. But there is a miniature geyser rock formation right in front of it. And again, I kind of looked at that hole and I was like, stalactite,
Yep.
And you plug that up and that opens the door for you. Inside, or on the other side rather, of the door is a small green pool of some green liquid that's trickling down from the ceiling upstairs, burning through the floor and down into this chamber below it. And this is acid, and Roger will, if you go up to you can taste and smell it if you so choose. And Roger will walk up, take his helmet off, and do both of them, and either one results into your head melting into a bloody stump. So.
What's funny is like, I ended up needing water. I didn't see the, like you said, you got to pour over the pixels to see the survival kit. I didn't see it. So I go about my life, and then later on, spoiler alert, they're like, hey, you're thirsty, you got to do something about that. And I was like, fuck, I don't know where I got any water. I went in there, I was like, maybe it'd be one of those situations where, like, it's, you fucking take a drink and it's some, like, great thing. So I just touched it, and it burns your arm off to the elbow, and then you fall down and you're dead on the ground.
Okay, yeah. Sounds about right. So you didn't have water yet. How the fuck do you use the water in the first place? Did you have to go back and get it?
Yeah. Had to go back to the pod. And
I guess what I'm asking though is, did you hit what? Again, I'm spacing on whatever the dead end is, or it's where you have to use it. But did you get to that and then go back, or did you happen to go back to the crash site? Because I guess you need the knife too, and I guess my fear is that you could not have gotten the knife either, and have gotten all the way to the Sarien ship. And
yeah, I guess I don't know, because like I died, and then. Now I just know how to do it. So then I just went and got the survival pack, and then went and did the shit at the skeleton. I didn't have to drink water, I think, because I did it quickly enough.
Is that that might be the only use of it? That might be why I'm spacing on it, because
no, it might
just be a time.
Let's go on. Let's see.
Okay, yeah, I'll be curious to see where that implements, because if you can get off this area of the game without having gotten that survival kit, that's just like,
you're fucked.
That's the perfect example of how ruthless these games can be.
Yeah, you are. If you do that, you're 100% soft locked.
Yeah, and you're just fucking starting over is your only choice.
Yeah.
So what you want to do is walk on by the acid thing. That is not an actual POI. It's just to tip off, I suppose, what's happening above it more than anything else, and then grant you a death possibility, I suppose, too. But the next actual POI is a laser barrier where just the most obvious thing ever, where you have to whip out that piece of glass from the crash site, from the windshield, the spider windshield, and you reflect the laser beams back onto themselves to blow them up. Which, I don't know. Like, I can't fathom there's any technology that could possibly work that way.
I don't know how lasers work, actually, but I'd be surprised.
I'd be real surprised. But it is definitely how they work in cartoons and shit, so perfect. It makes perfect sense.
Yep.
And the copy you get for that is you have cleverly turned the beam upon itself, frying and fusing it into a state of inoperability. And then the path wraps behind that door that opens up. The path, or I guess just behind those lasers, the path wraps up and around to the upstairs part of the screens we just passed through, and you'll encounter that dripping acid you saw. And this, because you can see where they're dropping. So, if you were controlling this game with like a fucking gamepad, this makes a lot of sense. But would be easy, particularly easy, I suppose. But you could actually just like stop. But you're using the clicking fucking walking thing, so you got to kind of time that. And then the very last one of these drip points doesn't have the indicator on the ground that something has been falling there, and then the idea is that that's the hole it's going through and dripping into that pond below. Mm-hmm. So basically, I died on this just because, I figured I knew immediately what to do and was able to get all the way through it, except to the last one, which I didn't know there was a hole there, and that just happened to be when it dripped. So I died here, even though I knew exactly what to do.
So you got through, thought that you had gotten all the way through, and then got dripped.
Right.
Where there was no indicator. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I very smartly just clicked all the way at the other end of the screen.
And just got lucky?
Yeah, dude, I got through it I think I got through it the first try. And dying and whatnot, I came back and I had no problem with this.
Okay. Well, yeah, I wouldn't call it a problem. It's just because there was no black mark on the ground, I didn't know to avoid it.
I think I was always gotten by the first one, actually. Like, I would, there was enough of a delay where I was like, I'm safe to go now. And then instantly they drop another one on you and I died.
It's one cool thing about it, though. They score the droplets with like some sort of tune, like a note by note tune, so you can kind of time it with music if you're more musically inclined than I. So I thought you might notice that.
I didn't even notice it, actually.
Yeah,
I was just blowing through.
The next screen is uneventful, and exiting right there takes you to a black void. And as soon as you enter, you actually get this copy that reads this. This is not me speaking it. As soon as you enter the room, you find yourself surrounded by darkness. Suddenly, you become aware of the fact that you cannot move or speak. A strange unknown force has taken over. A massive holographic image appears before you. And then that happens. It's a huge blue face, reflective metallic red eyes, large lower fangs jutting up and out of these terse lips, and then it begins to speak. And in my case, anyways, it began to speak gibberish, and that is because I did not have my translator turned on before I walked in here. And once you're inside, you have no control or no icon to use. So if you haven't done that, he starts speaking this gibberish. He eventually gets pissed off and irritated that you can't understand him, and they just fire your ass back up to the surface. Yep. So you have to go all the way back through it again and turn your translator on first. So that, again, perfect example of like Sierra, like just fucking turn the translator on, man. Like if especially if you're not gonna give me a chance to do it at all. Like God forbid, it should just click on either way, but or be on all the time, whatever, But yeah, that was like a really dumb runaround thing that I was not surprised by because it's Sierra, but was annoyed nonetheless.
Yep. So you gotta go back up. Oh, check your inventory. Oh, translator.
Right.
Do the whole cave again.
So when you have that clicked on, he happens to speak plain English, and with a heightened eloquence, he tells you that he's observed you are up shit creek without a paddle and are in need of transpo, and if you help them by fragging the ORAT, he might help you out. And you have to bring him proof of its demise, he asserts. Then you are fired back up to the surface, just like when you couldn't understand him. So you're back up top now, and my initial inclination was, yes, I need to lure the Orat out, or kill this. Like, basically, I was like, I need to kill something with that vertebrae. I need to either fucking kill the fucking spider droid or lure the Orat out of the cave and get him to drop this fucking thing on. Because, yes, I just had this, like, incredibly stark memory of having to kill something that way from whenever, you know. And so I spent a long while doing that. Did you come out of the fucking from down there and have any clue what to do here?
When I finally got in there with the translator on, the Orat was already dead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you got...
I think I got out of there and didn't know exactly what to do. Like I said earlier, I was like, oh, you just check your inventory and turn the thing on. Like, I didn't think it that quickly. So I was like wandering around, seeing what to do. And then I encountered a way to kill the Orat.
Okay. Well, that is, yeah, I mean, that's the next thing that you have to do. So how did that flow for you?
So I got that spider droid to chase me, and then I went into the cave, the Orat cave that's in the.
So you did this was deliberate. You were like, I'm gonna try to lure that thing in there.
Yeah. So like when you get that first thing where it crashed on the planet, it says like it seeks out organic life and then destroys it, and I was like, cool, that's organic life.
Perfect.
So I got it following me, and again, I wasn't sure if the game would work like this. You know, like I figured like once I go into that cave, like maybe that spider droid just exists out of there.
Right,
so,
yeah. I had the same problem. My biggest hurdle here was, yes, disbelief that the game could work with such an elaborate system.
Yeah, I really didn't believe that it would just follow me like that, but it does. So it sounds like you did it the same way. I went into the cave, and as soon as you step into the cave, Roger takes like his animation is just automated. He goes and like hides behind a rock.
Which that surprised me that you didn't have to also think to hide, you know.
Maybe they thought it'd been like a little too clunky, you know.
Yeah.
But they make you hide earlier in the game.
Exactly. That's what I mean. Like there's so many instances where that is the puzzle, you know, to hide in places that I don't think you can really fucking guess or figure out just by looking at these oil paintings that are backgrounds. You know.
Yeah.
There's obviously the one in the first Sarien ship, or in the Arcata rather, and then later there's one in the Sarien to get into the Sarien ship that both of those I was like didn't get it. I don't even kind of get it. So
yeah.
Yes, I guess I was thankful that they didn't expect that of me here. Not to mention that rock doesn't really look like it can hide you.
Yeah, like it's funny because like when you hide on the Arcata, you're like kind of hidden a little bit. Right. And then when you hide in there, it's just, you know, I know why games do this because you can't fucking show everything, but like it's just implied that you're hiding.
Right.
You know, it's like, but you're right there.
Yeah. So many things require, I guess the leap of suspension of disbelief or suspension of belief, suspension of disbelief. Suspension of disbelief. Yes.
Yeah. You cannot believe this. You have to forget about that. Suspend that disbelief.
After you do that, there is it goes over and just blows that fucker right up. And I think the Orat does some kind of like cute, like curious thing with it first, maybe. In either case, it blows the Orat up, leaving both are gone then, and off your fucking list of problems in this world. And a small bit of the Orat is left behind, and it's described as this cute little item is an Orat part. You're not sure what part though, so you have to take this back through that long, tedious journey. And that's what we're saying too. Like it's not when you go back down there, you have to go through all that shit again. I guess the shit's all still done. It's not like you have to do the puzzles again, but you have to go through that whole fucking sequence and you do have to go through the fucking acid shit again.
Yeah, do the acid, yeah.
Yeah. So it's a whole to do that you have to do this 3 times, you know.
And it's a lot of screen changing. So like, you know, we're spoiled because, you know, fucking everything's instant load and looks like real life.
Yeah, that's what we're saying, yeah.
But, you know, it is a thing. Like you got to, when you go like click on the left side of the screen and like you're going to the west to the next screen, like it takes a few seconds to like kick in to load.
I can remember on that fucking IBM PS1, 2, whatever it was, when these screens material, I don't remember noticing it playing here because yes, the shit's just flying as far as the processing goes. But I remember like the materialization of the image on the screen having this. I almost feel like they deliberately did it because they knew it would be running slower and you'd be able to discern this. But it kind of had this, like a dissolve like a film dissolve texture to it, of like each pixel appearing in like kind of like a checkered way that like makes it come into view in a slower kind of developing way, you know? So yeah, they, I think, even accounted for that in the design. And yeah, I mean, that was certainly part of the play experience though, is the more shit would have to load.
I don't remember that about it, like that gradient shit.
But yeah, I mean, fucking clearly that was part of that was fully expected. And I'm sure in a comparative way, because this was playing off your hard drive, and you know, we were playing this in an era where you 100% had CD loading, and that shit took forever. So
it's not some fucking solid state drive anymore. This was like throwback.
Right. So this was but I'm saying even compared to like the actual CD drive games or CD-ROM games, both on consoles at the time, the PlayStation, and with PCs, this would still be faster because it is working off a hard drive, even though they were, yes, not solid state drives, they were the fucking spinny deals, but still very much infinitely faster than loading something off a. That's why I don't know if you recall the CD-ROM speed shit. Like they started off at like, you know, you could get a 4x speed, and that was like a big deal. And then like they ended up getting up to like 32 and 64, and that was of course inconsequential difference really. But yeah, early on, like getting like a 4-speed one versus in fact there were games where you had to have a certain speed for it to even work. That was part of the system spec requirements, was a certain like an 8 times
4x or something,
right? Because the game wouldn't be able to function in a manageable way without that load speed, you know. So.
Yeah, I can picture. I'm picturing now computer game boxes that have like 4x or 8x on them, and it never occurred to me what that was.
So when you get back to the whatever that fucking floating disembodied head is or belongs to, he reappears and asks you to toss down proof of the Orat's demise in front of him. If you have it, and you do so, the door opens, or rather a door opens in the back of the room, and you automatically walk through it. And then copy from that reads, when you step through, a door slides open with a faint hissing sound. You are alone in a large room full of strange equipment. A teal and pink dude with 4 arms comes buzzing out on a little hovering disc and chats you up.
Very Cylon-like.
Yes. And he tells you they are a peaceful people that are just a little cautious. And he makes it a point to tell you that this is a power station for his people and that they generate all their power via steam. And it felt like a political statement to me.
Did it? I thought it seemed really bizarre because I was like, you know, like it's like space shit and you guys are fucking. I mean, maybe they're just not advanced, but they got floating platforms. So no, they are advanced and they're just using coal and steam. That's weird, but okay.
Yeah. I think the implication that it was a clean steam, not necessarily coal generated steam. Yeah, steam doesn't have to come from coal.
I suppose that's true.
That's the way idiot humans do it.
Yeah, we also do geothermal, which they could have been doing. So
right,
yeah, that's true.
In fact, that's obviously more advanced too. So that's probably what they were doing.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
But yeah, anyway, I don't say that as a criticism. I fully support ethically green-minded platforms, even in video games. And he goes on to explain that they've promised you transpo and that the skimmer you can see to Roger's right is programmed to take him to a nearby settlement called Eulent's Flats, where you can procure further transportation. And he also stresses that the skimmer is designed to travel a half meter above the ground because of those fucking worms. So before you skitter out of here, you can play with their computer via inserting the data cart you have in tow. Did you even think to do this, and can it let you get out of here without doing so, I guess is a question.
I got so much to say about this room. So, number one, if you look at the floor in this room, and this happens throughout the game actually, if you look at certain objects, your character, Roger Wilco, the blurb back they give you about the observation you've made usually revolves around like custodial work that he's done in the past.
Oh yeah.
And I really appreciate, like, it was like something like this floor is like really, you know, polished or something, and I was like, yeah, because he's a custodian.
Right.
Like,
So
he would think like that.
Yeah, that's very cool. I agree.
So that happens in this game regularly, and I first found it here. Secondly, yes, you can leave without going into that machine. Fortunately, I was smart enough to make saves at certain points in the game. So, like, I knew, because I was kind of on a time, you know, restriction here. I was just like, anytime I got to a new place, I would just make a new save. And then once I got later in the game, where I didn't go into that fucking computer and it would have soft locked me and I would have been fucked, I just loaded that up, threw the disc in, and then I was able to go on. So, yes, I did leave without checking that computer first. The second thing is, the third thing, how many times did you leave this building? Did you have to like reload and like there's no like story twist or anything? Did you have to like reload to an earlier save and like do this again?
You mean the arcade sequence or the actual just getting out of here?
I guess it would be the whole sequence, front to back, where the dude lets you in, he talks about the Steam, and then you get in the thing and go. How many times did you do that?
Again, through the arcade thing, which obviously is supposedly skill-based, or just to starting that arcade sequence?
Arcade?
Where you probably skipped it. I hope you skipped it.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I did skip that, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, just to get to the arcade sequence. How many times did you do that?
Okay. I think just once. Yeah, I think just the one time.
And when you got in the thing and drove away, how did that happen?
Oh, yeah, he backs up and runs into the fucking...
It doesn't always do that.
Really? No
so
shit.
The first time I left, he just gets in and drives and goes straight. I was like, okay, cool. Like that's what I expected to happen.
Maybe that only happens when you actually look at the computer.
Ooh, could be.
Maybe that's. I mean, it's. I don't think
I'd have to fence test it. I'm not going to get into it. But
yeah, it's not that
that's
important.
A good point, actually.
But just as far again, like examining it just from a scientific perspective of like what in the code would cause that, and maybe that's the difference,
Yeah, the code's like once, if this, then that. Yeah.
Right. Because otherwise it would just be totally random. Yeah, he definitely backs up, and what's it say? Accidentally exits the machine before getting in the correct gear and exiting. It doesn't give me any copy. It just shows you the animation. You would think it would comment on it.
Yeah, I thought it was just do it like that's probably what's happening, but I thought that it just like 3 times out of 4 you just drive straight, but 1 time out of 4 you back up, and I was like, what cool randomization to introduce into a game like this. Like
either way, it's fun. Yeah,
yeah.
You mentioned there was something you mentioned. Oh, the divergence of just the flowchart, having killed the Orat before you went downstairs, which I guess raises the question: when you went down there and talked to him, then I didn't think to ask this. When you went down and talked to him for the first time, you already had the Orat piece.
Did I? No, that might not be true. I think I went down there, got thrown back up the one time, and then maybe I didn't
understood him though. Got thrown back up after having understood him.
No, I didn't understand him. Fuck, I can't remember exactly what happened. I didn't understand him. I got thrown back up. I think I went and did some shit. Oh, that was it. Found the Orat, was able to kill him the way we talked about. And then I just confirmed something else by looking at a playthrough here, or a walkthrough here. And then I went back down there with the translator on. He was like, can you kill that Orat? And then I go to my inventory, and I just click on the thing, and I drop it on the screen, and then he lets me go.
Okay.
So you don't need to like leave and then come back. Even if you've already got the Orat part, you can just whip it there. And actually, that's got a cool animation with it too. Like when you drop the thing, it's not just like it appears on the screen. Like it appears in Roger's hand, and then he like tosses it like down, on the ground, rolls, and then he flicks his hand, and like you see blood come off his hand. I thought that was cool.
Yep. Okay, but yeah, what I was getting at there is that it's interesting that there is, again, you just wouldn't expect a ton of branching paths. They try to build these early games like this with the feel of non-linearity, but they're usually pretty linear.
Yeah, it's like a straight line with like, and then you come to an intersection, and it's just a diamond that leads back to the same straight
precisely.
line.
Perfect example is like when you first crash land here in the desert. Like, yeah, you can go left and down, but not really.
You have to go east, right?
Right. So you hop, I guess, so you go back, if you think to go back to that computer and you punch it in, there's a message from one of the Arcata scientists explaining that they think they're being watched and that the star generator is a very powerful device and that it should be returned to the Xenon ruling body if found. And she also divulges a self-destruct feature is on this device, and you can initiate that by entering the code 8731, and then you have 5 minutes to get at least 5 kilometers away or you're fucked, buddy. So yeah, if you don't get this code, there's no way for you to beat the game. And again, you can leave here without it. So maybe there is... You never know if you do the right thing. You don't know if it builds some sort of backups, whatever, some way to get it to you later on that you wouldn't otherwise see. So I don't know if that exists. But yeah, knowing how these games are, it's distinctly possible that you can railroad yourself into a dead end here and not know it for hours after the fact.
Yeah. And I think I did that without my backup saves that I had kept. I got to the thing and I didn't know the code.
Brutal.
I don't know, like, I mean, I don't think I checked the entire last dungeon, like every like path. So maybe it could have been in there somewhere, like maybe in one of the Sarien scientists is just like, oh, I fucking found this code.
Right,
and it's on a computer somewhere. But I had to load and fucking.
Oh, you know what? I think that guy might say it again. Actually, come to think of it,
where would he say it?
I think the guard. I think he's literally just mutters it when you first talk to him. Yeah, it's a ways off here still, so I don't have it. I'm not going to go down there in my notes, but we'll get to it. Yeah, I have a vague recollection that I think he might repeat it to you. So maybe this is one case where again there's a little bit of forgiving approach to this, but those dead ends certainly exist in these games.
Yeah.
So you do hop in the skimmer, whether he backs into a machine or gets right out of there. Either way, you go out into the desert and you are prompted with an option to play or skip what they call an arcade sequence. And my initial thing was, well, I like arcades. Let's fucking let's dance. So I tried it, and it's just clicking the cursor to the right or left of your. It's like it's a phone game, dude. It's you're clicking to the right or left of your skimmer to avoid rocks that crest up over the quasi-perspective horizon as you scoot along, and you are allowed to take up to 5 clicks of damage from hitting rocks before you get to the destination, or you die and have to just redo it. And it is, it's no fun. It was just no fun.
Was it difficult?
Very difficult.
Oh,
yes,
okay.
I did. Yeah, I tried it numerous times, maybe 2, 3, 4, something like that. A handful of them, and you can see like it hits benchmarks, and like you can see Ulan's Flats in the distance getting a little closer.
Yeah.
So I mean, for the time, it looks kind of cool, and again, for the time also, in this kind of game in particular, because it is all this just point and click stuff. There isn't a lot of action. It was probably a welcome or semi-welcome experience at the time, but from a modern perspective, it is fucking awful. Yeah. And yeah, there's no benefit to it.
Nope, definitely skipped it every time I had to do it. So
yeah. Well, that was smart, because it fucking sucked. So now we are in Ulant Flats, and this, I think, is the best part of this video game. I think this is the most fun section, for sure.
I concur.
Yeah. So we open here with your skimmer parked in front of a building with a large sign that reads Rocket Bar, and the sign looks like a rocket that's crashed into the building, which gives me Fallout vibes. It reminds me of those gas
I got a lot
stations.
of Fallout vibes.
Yeah. And the copy you get reads, after a truly stone-crushing journey, you have miraculously arrived safely in Ulan's Flats, and just in time too, because the skimmer's power cell has been drained. It will take some time to recharge itself. This place isn't quite what you expected. It's semi-bleak at best, and an odd-looking fellow is lounging against the wall of a nearby building, watching you with a great deal of interest. And this dude walks over to you as soon as you climb out of the skimmer and starts checking out said skimmer. He tells you he's been looking everywhere for one of these babies, and then he offers you 25 buckazoids for it. Did you say yes, Jab?
I said the first time, what did I say? I said no.
As did I. And he walks away in a huff when you do that.
Yep.
Here's the thing. If you do that and then just leave without grabbing the keys from the ignition, when you leave the screen and come back, it's been stolen, which is a real drag in a financially comparative sense to the 25 buckazoid offer he gave you before that occurs. Did you have it stolen from you?
I absolutely did.
Yeah, because who the fuck would take keys? Because what are keys and ignitions? You don't know that if you didn't live in 1990, because you don't fucking need those anymore.
Right.
I leave my car. I left Amy's car on for like 8 hours of the day.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and hers has like a key thing sticking out of it too. Like she has this one of those Porsche Cayennes, and so she was out of town for work, and she left her car behind mine. We have this tandem spot, so I had to fucking switch the cars. And I was going to the gym, and like I had headphones in, so I couldn't even hear. And like I moved her car, parked it in the parking the thing, and like even when I got out, I have the. She's got a clicker, of course. So I hit the clicker, and it like did something weird. I can't recall. It didn't beep like it normally does, or something like that. And I thought it was weird, kind of, but I was like,
that's not right.
I was like, whatever. Maybe it's some dumb Porsche shit.
Porsche, obviously not a sponsor of the podcast.
Right, yeah, and I get in my car and I fucking drive away. And I go, I was gone running errands for a couple hours, and I get a call at the gym from my neighbor. He's like, "Hey, is everything okay?" I'm like, "What?" he's like, fucking the car's just running in your spot, with the headlights on and shit. And like that was the thing. It was like the middle of the day, so I didn't even see the headlights were still on and shit. So I'm like, no, everything's fine. I'm apparently just a moron. I left it on when I moved it. Yeah,
brutal.
But yeah, ignitions, keys, like that was the whole thing. I just got.
My car has keys.
Does it really?
2007 Subaru. 17 Subaru,
okay.
Excuse me.
Okay. Yeah, I had a 12 Mustang. I got a 21 new a couple years ago, and so I had the key up until just like 2 years ago. And like, yeah, dude, the first couple, like, I don't know how I get out of the thing. I'm in the thing. I don't have it on. I don't have it off. It's just a button. Like I can't fucking, I still fuck it up. I've had it 2 years now. I still fuck it up sometimes, even in my own cars, because it is, they're already so quiet anyways. Like I don't know. Maybe the Teslas don't, maybe they have like a more, I don't know, vibrant display of whether it's on or off, probably than a gas-powered car does. So maybe that's how they, circumvent that problem. But those cars are silent, So they
now
don't.
What?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
My boss back in like 2009, I was working at Lakeland Glass, and I go into his office. He's like, "Hey, bring my car in this shop and like fucking do something to it." And I was like, "All right, cool." So he gives me his keys, and like I get in there, and it was like 2009. But it was ignitionless. Like this is my first time encountering this, and I was just out there like starting to panic for like 5 minutes, and I was just like, I have to go back in and tell my boss I don't know how to start a car.
Yeah, I figured it out, but I had to drive a Tesla for the first time in a work situation earlier this year, and I got into that thing, and I was like, uh-oh. Like, there's nothing recognizable in here.
Like, I've been in my friends' electric cars, and like we pull up to a stoplight, and it's just like silence, complete silence, and then like the light turns green, and then like all of a sudden the sounds come back, and I'm like, holy fuck.
Yeah, very wild.
Well, that's not happening here.
Yeah, the skimmer has an ignition for sure with some keys in it, if you need to take those to keep it from getting stolen. And if you hang out after refruiting the offer instead of leaving, so you don't have to leave and come back, thankfully. He will just come back if you hang around long enough. And he comes back in, and he said it's his final offer, but he's offering you 30 buckazoids now and a gently used jetpack. Did you say yes to that one?
That one I did say yes to. It seemed like a better, especially after it got stolen. I was like, I better just kind of figure this out.
Right, yeah. That's probably a huge influence on it. Yeah, if it had not been stolen, I wonder if, because I'm always trying to exhaust, again, for the podcast purposes, I'm trying to exhaust all logic trees, So I probably would have said no if it had not been stolen. But
did you fence test this? Do you have to sell your skimmer?
I suppose you don't have to, because you have a couple bucks, right? That's it. Saves you
couple.
Yeah, so you can start.
As long as you can.
Spoiler alert: you can start gambling.
Yeah.
And honestly, actually, it's not a problem because you can get more money out back of the bar.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yep.
Right. So it's certainly infinitely helpful to. It's honestly not. It's only 10% of.
It's not really. Well, it's 10%, but also there's 20% off the robot.
Right.
So this guy's also. Are you going to read his clip, because this guy's also like part of the commerce?
Yeah, right. Yeah. So if you say yes to it, I didn't write down his actual dialogue, but yeah, he says he's a rep for the local chamber of commerce, and he gives you a couple coupons, which is one, a 20% off at Droids R Us, which we don't know what it is yet, but you have that, and then $5 of credit at the bar.
It's not $5 of credit. I found this really interesting. It's
a
5
rebate.
Buckazoids.
It's a rebate. It's not 5 buckazoids. It's a rebate. They actually, they give you the $5.
They give you the $5, yes.
Right, yes. It's fucking, it is super weird.
Here's like 20% off our shop and also $5. Like, how are you guys making money?
Right. I think it's also, recall. I think it might be. It's a coupon off and then also a rebate. I think at the bar
There's
too.
two. There's two things. So you get one that you use at the bar. You give them the thing. It's like a blue and it has a 5 on it. And you get 5 Buckazoids and a free drink. So like,
and a free drink. That's what it is, right?
Yeah. It's so they're not. They've just given you 7 Buckazoids.
Right.
And then the other one is a coupon for the 20% off at Droids R Us. Yes.
Yeah, which I mean, the Chamber of Commerce, I guess. That's they're kind of sponsoring just development of the local economic community, right?
That's I guess like trying to get customers in. You
right.
This shit. I'm an engineer. I don't know.
Right. Well, it's like I bartended for a long time in New York. The bartenders, or not the bartenders, the security guys that worked out front, the door guys, would always, for the especially the trashier ones, some of the more exclusive high end joints, they're telling people to go away so they don't have this problem. But the ones that are trying to attract people in, they would often give out, and they're not trying to attract anyone in, of course. They're trying to attract young women in because that brings in everyone else you want. So they would give out free shot cards to groups of girls at the door, and yes, literally nothing. And the girls would come in, they would, oh god, and if it was, and it's fucking, it was Midtown Manhattan, so sometimes these groups are like 15, 20 girls. The more the merrier, and they'd give them and they're not even counting cards, and they just hand them a stack of cards, and those girls would come in and just like throw a million cards on the thing, like give me 8 billion shots. Not tip, spend no money,
definitely not tipping,
and then just walk the fuck out of the bar.
God.
But it works, even if it only works 10% of the time, that actually retains the customers. You're still accomplishing the goal, and alcohol costs nothing, and they're putting cheap, well alcohol in the, brand name alcohol bottles anyway, so it costs them nothing to run the bar.
True. Okay. You convinced me, I think.
So it's still it's a net positive for the.
So this is Droids R Us. They're selling. Actually, even when you go into Droids R Us, the guy calls you out for being broke. So they're definitely putting the budget and New Japan 4 parts in these droids they're selling you. They're taking the good components out and putting the shit in.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
So I guess this makes some sense. Turns out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He then takes the keys from you and speeds off in the skimmer, so there's no refunds or no takebacks on that. And I figured, seeing this is a Sierra point and click, the sooner we got drunk, the better. So I headed straight into the Rocket Bar first. Is that your first POI?
Yeah, I went into the Rocket Bar. Didn't know that getting drunk was a thing in Sierra games like this.
I only mean in the sense that they're often painful in some shape or form. So getting
I don't
drunk
recall. Was Leisure Suit Larry also Sierra?
Yes.
See, that one, we don't have to start on this because we can. But, see, that one makes sense for drinking. But like King's Quest and Police Quest, I wouldn't think that would make a lot of sense. Police Quest especially.
I bet Police Quest has I bet you go to bars and have drinks on duty. Or at least off duty. At least off duty.
Now I say it, like, actually, no, that one.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that Police Quest 3.
God, I can't wait to play those. I wonder, like, how faithful they are to, like, like the police officer experience.
Very. I told you, we've discussed it. I don't know if you recall, one of the first magazine episodes we did talked about those in some way, shape, or form. There was something where we talked about this, but they hired a cop. They had a cop, like the guy that incentivized, like a cop, like a retired cop, came to them with that idea.
Oh, shit.
Came to Sierra. So the idea, they did not. That was, I don't think, anyways. Maybe slightly misremembering. I know for certain ones involved, but I think he also catalyzed the idea. Yeah, I think he came to them with like, hey, why don't we do one of these and I'll keep it honest to the cop experience, you know what I mean? So, yeah, they are very much they were trying to replicate actual cop processes and cop protocol.
Yeah,
and that's not
and
just
they're not just
like spitballing on Stallone movies or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I thought maybe they were. I thought maybe they were just like, we know generally what the idea of a police officer. I could write a game about a police officer, right? Like, he responds to some calls, the stakes really get higher, like, and then he does. But like, I don't know what I'm talking about.
I mean, and I remember that about that game too. That third one, it's so much of it is it's like the thing you remember, of like going to the right car window.
Yeah.
Like that's all like procedural. Like that stems out of the idea of.
Yeah, that guy would have reported. He would have been like, the training manual says to do it this way. So,
precisely,
you should have a consequence where you don't do it that way and then you die.
Yep.
Or whatever.
Yep.
That'll be fun.
So, Yeah, it will be. And I just noticed, I sent you that screenshot of the they have a VGA remake of that first one. So I guess
so they're not. Oh, are you about to break my heart right now? Is there not a VGA remake for every one of these games?
I think there is. That's what I was saying.
So like King's Quest 1 through 7 has.
King's Quest is obvious. I think yes, for sure.
Okay, cool.
I wasn't sure actually whether all of them would, or whether whether Police Quest would. But I guess we obviously know Space Quest does, and
Space Quest is like 1 through 7.
I don't know how many there are,
or however many there are.
Right, but yes, I mean, if the first one is, then eventually there probably isn't remakes of the latter ones. They just were like I know King's Quest 5 and 6 were already in this format, so there is
that was the standard
SCI version of those. I think it's just 1 through. I think even 4 actually might be like this, and I think it's 1 through 3 that are SCI.
Okay,
but that's again me spitballing. Inside the bar, it is pretty cool. The stage is the actual cockpit of the rocket sticking out of the roof. The windshield is broken out of it, not spidered, entirely broken. Up on the stage are a couple of guys that are clearly Blues Brothers knockoffs, dancing and singing away. And there are a handful of patrons at the bar hanging out, or they're also hanging out at the one table in here, and there's a slot machine in the corner near the stage. Or rather, I'd say the peeps at the bar could potentially be construed as the peeps on the game box cover. For the yellow guy, for sure, is one of them, the yellow alien. And the girl, I think...
All of them. There's the dog there, too.
Okay, yeah.
Because what you talk to the one guy, the brown guy at the bar, and it's like you can't really see that he's a dog. Like, it's not clear. Or dog-like, I should say. But you say to him, "Can I offer you a milk bone?" And he gurs at you. So
okay.
He's
then
the
for
dog-looking one. So I noted that too. I was like, this seems to be the cover of the hint book.
Okay. Well, that's the game box. Hint book and game box.
Yeah.
Same thing. They also toss a three-breasted joke in here about the pro forma attractive female barfly, saying you must be getting dizzy because you're seeing triple. And I don't know if you picked up on it, but that's a low-key Total Recall reference.
Ooh, I did not pick up on that, and that's the one Paul Verhoeven movie that I haven't really seen, and I'm like obsessed with RoboCop and Starship Troopers.
Yeah, you got to. I've told you to watch the RoboCop documentary,
right? You may have, but I didn't.
You gotta watch it.
To do that.
So fucking. It's a 4 or 5 part series. It is fucking good.
What's it on?
It is so good. It's somewhere stupid. You gotta buy it. It's somewhere dumb.
I'll make sure to do it. But yeah, RoboCop and Starship Troopers are fucking fantastic. Damn, are they good? And I've seen Total Recall, but like not with the brain that I have as like an older person.
Right. Yeah, it is so RoboCop like in the. I don't know what to call that. Just like the tonality of the social commentary. It's in the same.
And also very subtle.
Right.
Yeah, because like RoboCop says so much without saying a word, and so does Starship Troopers for that matter. You got to really pay attention to like kind of pick up in the world that they live in. But once you do, like you see it everywhere. It's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. It's referencing it. I'd call it one of the more iconic scenes in Total Recall.
Yes, I remember the 3-boobed lady.
Right.
As a young man, I was interested in that.
Yeah. On the topic of Total Recall, actually, I was catching up on the new season of Rick and Morty the other night, and they did an entire episode referencing Quado, the psychic baby creature that lives in the taxi driver's abdomen in Total Recall. They did an entire episode about it. Was even for that show. It was wild, which that show is. I think you see it. You don't watch it, but you should. It's. I think it's fucking. Not every episode's a hit. It's sometimes a little too self-referential and meta, but a lot of them are very good. And this one was. It is always very wild, and this was a wild one, even by Rick and Morty standards.
Okay.
But yeah, just like literally an entire. It was like a designer race of Quado people that like were like basically the elite were paying to have Quado people installed in them, and there was like a nightclub that was all Quado people that was like highly exclusive. It was fucking absolutely bad shit insane.
Weird.
Yeah,
they get into some goofy shit. It's not for me.
I redeemed my coupon with the barkeep, got my free drink and $5 Buckazoid rebate, and again, I made a little note here that like that was weird commerce there that they physically hand you $5 was very unexpected. Yeah, and Roger urges that a couple refills would be nice, so I oblige. After the third, you overhear some bar chatter, and this is this really long story that I wrote down. I don't think it's worth reading, but it's just talking about this story of cruising through and seeing a ship, and it basically the whole point of this is nested in it is a sector name that you need to cross-reference with the instruction manual that tells you where you need to go to find the Sarien ship after you leave here. And I, because it is this long rambling thing, did not make note of it and did not know that. And this was the one time that I had to reference the hint book, actually, to, as I mentioned in the text thread. So, yeah, mine was BF. You said yours was HH, right?
Correct.
Right. So, yeah, this changes. It's not. It's again, a form of copy protection. And, yeah, I was stumped a little later on by this, not having taken detailed enough note of this.
See, I actually made note of it here. I wrote HH up in the top right corner because, like, it just stood out. Like, everything else seemed,
Bullshit.
Just like stock. It seemed stock. But so I wrote down HH, but then I got to the fucking point where I texted you, and I was like, I don't know how to make this work, and it didn't occur to me. I was looking through the hint book trying to figure it out, and then finally it occurred to me I had to look in the instruction manual.
Okay.
So I forgot that it was a copyright thing. Then I would have looked there immediately.
Yeah, I was assuming that you just fucked up the symbols.
No, I just didn't know. I was like HH, and there's fucking symbols that look like H's, so I just like put HH and then hit enter, and it's like you got to enter a whole code. So I was trying to find the ones that like looked most like spaces, and then space HH, and that was a mess.
Tough. Well, after that, the only real thing to do here is to head over to the slots and fuck with that machine a little. And yeah, I just kind of knew to slap that gadget on it, and this is where things would have really gotten interesting if you stuck with that SEI version, because you wouldn't have had that gadget from the star generator on the Arcada.
I don't know how that would work, right?
Well, the way it works is, and it's why I have the memory I do, actually, of playing this game in the SEI version with my cousin, is you don't have that. There is no cheese capability for the gambling. You have to just sit and play it get lucky in the RNG. Yeah, which sucked, and I remember it sucking hardcore at the time too. So you walk into this thing. The max bet is $3, and with the thing,
please stay in character.
So 3 Buckazoids, and if you slap the thing on it, every time you either get 3 cherries, which was most of the time, which gives you a $15 payout. You can get 3 galaxies for a $30 come up, or if you get 3 planes, it's a $60 take. So you only win basically with this gadget on it, and it still took a little while. It still took a few minutes. So like more than you really want. It's tedious either way, obviously, but less tedious, I suppose, if you can fucking just game it and get it done in a few minutes. But yeah, this was a really shitty part of the SCI experience that. Just no benefit to it at all, and I can't believe they didn't see this as like something like we got to do something about this.
That's going to stop players dead in their tracks,
right? And I think it did. I my memory of it is like we couldn't do it, and we had to stop playing. And like, how can you play something in a game or put something in a game that just purely on RNG may just send the player packing? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and like not even a generous RNG, like actually very punitive. So I didn't know to put I don't have this memory of yours. I didn't know to put that widget, is what it is, on there at first. So I was like, all right, man, I'll fucking give it a shot. Also, we didn't talk about how the slot machine came to be open.
Oh, yeah, there's someone over there fucking around, and they get murked by it, don't they?
Yeah, like you sit at the bar, you talk a little bit or something, you buy a beer, and then you get up and walk away. Right. I think you walk towards the door, and then if you get 3 skulls in this slot machine, then
you die
behind you shoots you, and only then do you like kind of look up and see the gun up there like in the foreground as part of the art, and it's like this game's so fucking cool.
yeah
So yeah, the guy gets shot, and then you can go to the thing, and now you can gamble.
Right. So yeah, it could be a highly punitive situation. So yeah, I'm sure that death capability existed. I don't remember it, but I'm sure that death capability existed.
Oh, and that's why I started this conversation. So yeah, like I didn't know you had to put the widget on there, but I knew that this thing's not here for no reason. They've only got so much space in these games. You're gonna have to use it. So I'm gonna need money. So I'm like, I'll give it a shot, and like I gambled. I think I had like 15 Buckazoids and died the first 2 times, just like triple skulls, load, triple skulls. Right. And then I spent like 20, 30 minutes trying to gamble, and like the most I ever got was like 27. It was so fucking bad, dude.
So you just got to save scum. Yeah, terrible.
Yeah, and I was just like, and I think I saved scum to get that 27.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is a very tedious thing. So yeah, you're trying to get money here. It maxes out around 300, I think, or once I cross 300 in winnings, it says you step back nervously as the overheated slot machine begins to sputter and smoke. And then it cuts back to the wide shot of the bar, and the machine screen actually blows up, but Roger survives. And yeah, I fully expected this greed to have negative consequences. I thought
for sure too, yeah.
That there would be someone would come over and be like, oh, you're cheating, what the fuck you doing, you know? Mm-hmm. So I was surprised when that did not happen. And actually, something I forgot to tell it last time when we were talking about memories of this game, but this part of the game playing with my cousin Lisa. So the context of this, I remember trying to hide. Like, she was trying to get me to do chores. This is me, 5-year-old me, maybe, is my guess on age here. But she was trying to get me to do chores at their house with her as, like, a lesson of some kind, you know? And, like, she's a little older than me. Yeah, I would guess she was probably in, like, early teens, late preteens, you know, when this is happening. So old enough for it to be just me and her, like a babysitting situation, you know? And I remember, she was trying to get me to do chores, and I was able to somehow actually hide. And I hid underneath her bed like a fucking gremlin, refusing to come out to do, like, I think it was wash dishes or something like that.
I hate washing dishes in your defense.
Yeah. So that is the accompanying memory I have with playing Space Quest 1 in their study down in Florida.
Huh. Down in Florida. Okay, I was wondering what that was.
Fun. So, that seemed like it for bar POIs. So you head outside, and I went around to the back of the bar, and there's a pile of incinerated trash being periodically added to from a robot dropping out of a hole on the back of the building. And this is where you can root around in this and find 2 to 5 Buckazoid drops every single time. So, honestly, especially if you don't have the gadget or you're not using the gadget or you don't think to use the gadget, it's much faster to just search this over and over.
I think you get to search it like 2 or 3 times and you find some, and then you have to go, I think, in a building and then come back out. But if you had to do it, that's the way to do it, because gambling is never going to work.
Right. And I think that's applicable in real life too. I think there's more money to be made in rooting around in the trash than there is in gambling.
I got a lot of problems, man, but thank God gambling is not one of them.
None. Yeah. We've talked about it before, but like the trend towards sports gambling and shit, like I just cannot, nothing I care about less than hearing about your parlay or whatever.
They do. They do it at the bar sometimes, and I'm just like, fuck.
I still wouldn't know how to do it, dude. Like, if I wanted to do it right now, I don't know what to do.
I don't, so like, I really don't care.
Right, yeah.
In fact, can we move on?
Yeah, right.
We can bullshit about literally anything else.
Yeah, we can get a better look at the perimeter defenses they've set up for the settlement back here too. They will zap Roger if he tries to walk past them, and this happens to anything moving on land as opposed to flying, as a means of protecting them from those worm fuckers. So that's why those are there.
Did you know how many times did you walk into those?
Probably only once. Does something cool happen?
You can die from it.
No, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I don't know what the number is, but I think I bumped into it one too many times, and I fucking died. Okay. They gave it the whole thing. I can't remember what it was, but they give you a whole thing.
I'm sure it was fun. North of the bar is Droids B Us, it's Droids B Us, right? Yeah, because they are going fully just balls to the wall on a Toys R Us parody here. Mm-hmm. The sign design and everything. And inside is a fucking clack-on of Master of Orion
that's what
lore.
You sent me that one time. Oh, okay, now I remember. I get it now. Yes, he's a clack-on from fucking Master of Orion.
Yes, 100%. Like, not even, it is, I don't know. I'm not going to go as far as to say 100%, but I can see them liking a game like that. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And Master of Orion was huge at the time, so ripping that.
91, I think that came out in 93, though.
That's true.
There had to be another. I mean, Master of Orion didn't invent the genre, 4X in space. I don't think.
I think they did, actually. At least in the way.
Check it out. They actually may have taken a clack on. No, because that's so easy. It's like, what if bears were a race? What if ants were a race?
Right.
So that's all it is. But I was wondering if maybe they played this. And they probably did.
Yeah.
The developers probably played Space Quest 1, and maybe they got some influence for the clack-ons from this.
Perhaps, yeah. Either way, even if it's not intended, there's some visual through line for sure. Mm-hmm. And he's got a Sales Bug of the Year certificate on the wall behind him, but he still profiles Roger as a broke fuck on sight and says he'd most likely be interested in the economy-used options. So there's a screen next to him cycles through a range of droid options they have available. most of which are well beyond the number of Buckazoids you could possibly be carrying with the slot machine blowing up around 300. So he does mention you can fill out a credit app if you so desire, but he highly doubts you will qualify. So you're only working with cash on hand here. And the moderately priced option, actually wanted pretty bad. The Sucks 9000 is the one I really wanted, even though the Clacon seems to think it was worthless. So I tried it out. Did you try buying anything other than?
No, I was in a hurry.
Okay. So yeah, I bought this thing. And you hand over the money to him, and he tells you that you can pick it up out back, which it just cuts to right away. You don't have to walk
Real
out
quick,
there.
I want to say something about that. What he actually tells you is you can pick up your droid out and to the right.
Okay.
And I really appreciated that because he's giving you that from the perspective of him
Of the
in
shop,
the thing.
right, yeah.
Because it's to the left on
Yep.
your screen, but walking out of the door, it would be to your right. And I was like, that is fucking attentive writing, and I appreciate that.
I concur. I didn't even notice it, but I concur. Well, like I said, it cuts to it anyways. You don't have to go out there yourself, which is interesting. Does it do that when you pick up
The actual droid too.
Yeah, that you need? Do
Yep.
you have to walk out there? It doesn't matter, I guess.
No, it doesn't. It just auto. So you buy the droid you need, and then it's auto, just like you've been describing.
Okay. So yeah, so it cuts to back there, and the Sucks 9000 rolls out of the garage, and it just zaps you. And you die, which sucks. So yeah, it's a dead end for sure. The one you clearly are going to want is the Nav 201, which is a ship navigation droid. It's 30-something Buckazoids, and I figured I'd come grab it after I find the ship for it to nav, which I did not have yet. Did you come here and check this out before doing the ship?
Oh yeah, I didn't even know the shipyard was there. Actually, it's not really apparent on the screen.
I agree. So yeah, the only other, so if you just kind of just fence testing here, the only other thing you will find is, yes, the shipyard that is called Tiny's Used Spaceships. And Tiny is described, he's standing out front of the I guess, like little hut part of it with the sign on it. And Tiny is described as a large, green-scaled covered jaw jockey with the personality of a true salesman. Not a prime combination of traits, I must say. And he has 3 ships for sale, 2 of which are pretty well dismissed as shitty by Roger's intuition, which is interesting that he has that intuition. But when you take a closer look at him, he says that. And then the 3rd, which is north of where you first bump into Tiny and on another screen, and by far the largest of them, reads, actually, this ship is not bad looking. It appears to be a Dralian cruiser. They have a reputation for quickness and reliability. You are surprised that someone of Tiny's caliber would be carrying it. And he has a bunch of smarmy car salesman pitch copy that he tells you about it once you look at it, and tells you it's 185 Buckazoids is the price. And like, I guess, what did you buy it for? What price did you buy it for?
Oh God, I don't know.
Take note.
I did not. I figured it would have been the same. You said yours was how much?
Well, he told me 185. And then, I don't know if I was, looking at some stuff or something, but shortly after, he tells me 214. And I don't know.
214 is what I paid.
Okay, so maybe that's automatic. But I thought I, could have done
But there was also
something.
a 99 involved somewhere. Like, when I went and talked to him, in front of his storefront,
Well, I think he'll try. I think he'll try to sell you the
some
other one.
other shit for Did you also get 99?
That I didn't write it down, but that's yes. He definitely gave me some prices for the ones down the other one. The upside down rocket ship looking deal.
Yes.
So yes,
well,
okay. So
I hope
214
they
is the
programmed
price.
him to do some shady shit where he quotes you one and then says something else at the very end.
Right, yeah.
That'd be great.
Some 1 for 4, 2 for 10 shit for sure.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, I didn't feel like haggling. I thought maybe there'd be some way to fuck with this, but I was like, I got the money and there's clearly no nothing, whatever, just let's fucking go. So I just, took the deal, and he tells you how great of a purchase you made, and as a passing note, he's walking away with your pocket of dough. He mentions you will definitely need a droid to pilot it. So I tried to climb into the cockpit anyways, and it basically confirms that. It tells you you'll need a droid. So I go back to Droids Be Us. I get the Nav 201. I come back. You hand over the dough to the Clacon inside. Same deal. I actually forgot to use my coupon, but I was like, fuck it, who cares?
Oh, yeah, because you actually have to... It was not actually intuitive. While you're in the screen, having a conversation with him, you have to go to your inventory, select the coupon, and put it on him. It's a little weird.
Yep.
It doesn't just automatically apply once it's in your inventory.
Yep. And yeah, it's interesting that exists. I guess the possibility exists that you don't win a full 300 at the machine, I guess, is the only answer to this. But I feel like it was a weird design choice to have this coupon and there not be some other need or use for money that would appeal, that would make it interesting and worthwhile to remember to use the coupon, or I guess more important, punitive to not. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do. And I tried to use money on things like drinking. So like you drink the 3 drinks and then you get the the copyright protection code. So stay in character.
I think the bartender won't let you have one. He like cuts you off.
Well, he tries to cut you off. So you have. Okay. So I had the 3. I got the coordinates for the location of the star generator ship that had stolen it. Then if you just drink 3 more, you have 2, and it's no big deal. And then the 3rd one, he's like, "You really shouldn't do this. You're pretty fucked up." And then you can either be like, "Fuck off," and like he'll give you another one, or you can just say, "Okay, I'll go." And if you bitch at him and make him give you another one, which he does, then you go outside, pass out on the ground. And I think the implication is that, like, you get robbed of all your stuff, and then they rip your body apart and sell your body parts.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty morbid, actually.
I'm surprised I did not think to. I felt like I did try to drink more, and I must have just took whatever they said as like a hard stop.
Yeah, I tried both. I tried the first one where I made him give me one, and you definitely die from that. You stumble outside and die. And then the other one, you just go away, and something happened. I can't remember. Again, I was in a hurry, but.
Lots of death opportunities in this game.
Yeah, I'm actually impressed by how many they have.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, you go out back with the to get the droid, and the bot there tells you it'll be right out, then belittles the puppy dog nature of how it'll just follow you around once it does come out. So they're talking shit about it.
Do you remember what they said?
I don't remember I don't remember what he says, but I do love that they knock off even the Jeffrey Giraffe thing out there. Did you notice that?
Oh, I didn't. No.
Yes, even like that's how far they take the Toys R Us shit. Is like there's a Jeffrey Giraffe on the sign out back.
Oh no shit! I didn't see it. Damn.
Yeah.
Well, when you inspect that robot with the the inspect command, it says something to the effect of like, like this robot looks like it's, blah blah blah, and it also somehow looks depressed.
Oh yeah.
Which I really appreciated.
Yep.
Like they really set like a tone in this universe. It's a very bleak situation always.
Yep. So you head back to the ship, you hop in, your droid putters over beneath, and you hit a button labeled load to pick the droid up. It leaves its tank tracks behind it on the ground, which I guess that makes it a one-use droid. And you immediately take off, and as you fly off screen, a little red humanoid thing runs up from the direction of the bar and yells something at you about stealing their ship. So that fucking Tiny, the ultimate shyster, sold you someone else's ship.
That's great.
And but was my question here, where was that thing's navigation droid?
Maybe it was in the shop or something.
I guess that's possible, yeah. But I thought
they're stripping the good components out, and
yeah, I thought it odd that he would take it into the bar. And if he did that, it would have needed its tank tracks, right? It would have to be the same droid drone, wouldn't it?
I think.
a lot of questions. A lot of questions here. Mm-hmm. So that happens, and then after you're completely gone, another ship materializes where your ship took off from, and the music it doesn't like nothing happens, nothing gets out, but they just purely by music suggest that this is probably the Sariens that are hot on your tail.
Yeah, it's ominous. It's an ominous sound.
Cut to space, Roger and his Budro rocketing through it for a few screens, satellites flying by and such before we move into the cockpit, where the droid informs us we have reached escape velocity. The droid then presents you with a symbol pad so you can input a destination code from the manual, and I couldn't for the fucking life of me think or remember what this might be. So I was like going through I went through the entire fucking, all my notes, thought about the bar, so I checked everything I'd scribbled down while in there, but nothing. So I had to consult the hint book for the very first time, and it's in that story. So the
hint book fixed your problem, right?
It did, yes.
Okay,
it did. So that's I guess a testament to that hint book's
design,
not usability, but they covered the important shit. Save me when I was in need. The nav plots the course and then enters warp speed, and when you come out of warp drive, you are treated to a tense cutscene of the ship navigating a lot of oncoming asteroids before hitting a clear patch, and we then move back inside the cockpit, and the nav tells us a large ship is in the sector, and it will continue to scan for an ID. Then, you can see like out the cockpit window, the Sarien battlecruiser, which is the praying mantis ship that we saw in the first segment of the game with the Arcata, comes into view, and the nav is super noited out about this development.
He did not like it.
Yeah, he badly wants to bail out of there, and you are prompted whether to agree or disagree with it. I immediately said no, didn't even try to agree with him, so I don't know what happens. I imagine probably a death of some kind, but when you say no, the droid does a flyby, and Roger just fucking hops out, slides on his jetpack, and the ship just speeds off and leaves your ass there. So you are now, you're either getting into the ship or you're fucked.
Yep. It's all on you now.
Right, and then Roger buzzes down to an external door in the cruiser with an imposing insect crest emblazoned across it, and there's conveniently an open sesame button to the side of the door. So all I have to do is hit that, and the door slides right open. And on your way inside, your jetpack malfunctions, and Roger whips it aside just in time for it to explode and lie on the floor, spitting sparks. And not long after that, the only door in this room opens and a robot enters. And we are given some copy that reads, "Alert, alert, organic contamination detected in airlock." And then a laser just vapes you. There's no avoiding it, at least perceivedly. Yep. And the death copy for that reads, "Those laser shots are incredibly effective, as your body will attest. Being in plain sight probably didn't help you much." So they give you a very, very specific suggestion as to how to deal with it on your reload here. And so I'm like, okay, I need to get out of sight. But again, we're looking at a room that does not seem to have anywhere to hide. I don't know. What was your ability to perceive this hiding puzzle?
I knew where to hide immediately.
Really?
It's like a little bit dark. It's like there's like a black blotch on the side of the door that kind of implies, I don't know, maybe I just kind of imagined myself as like having the perspective of the robot that comes in the room. So like, okay. You walk through a door, and I think in this case it would be on the robot's left.
Right.
There was just like a darker patch there.
And he's going towards the jetpack over on the left side of the screen.
Correct. Sure. And but here's the thing: your character is not obscured at all. So if that's the kind of sign you're waiting for, you're definitely not going to get it.
Right. Yeah. No question. Yeah. So I load in. You have to loading too. It requires waiting through the painfully slow animation of Roger floating over to hit the door button outside, and then going inside the airlock and all the bullshit. So very tedious load situation here. And yeah, I mean, I figured I had to hide, but fucking, that's the only option. So I get, it's not like I spent some significant amount of time trying to figure this out.
I was wondering,
the only choice.
Did you fail at this or something? Or
well,
outside of the first one, of course.
I did die because of a very stupid thing, even though I figured out where to hide. So so you hide on the side of the door, and you have to wait the 20 seconds, whatever, for the robot to finally enter. The robot comes in with no announcement, tosses a pail of water on the sizzling jetpack, and then exits with no further hubbub. And then I just get a death tune for seemingly no reason. And the copy for that reads, "You missed a golden opportunity while that door was open. Oh well, what's new? All alone and by yourself, you grow incredibly hungry and begin sampling your own body parts.
Damn.
Finding that you have absolutely no taste, like we didn't know that already, you end up shriveling away to nothing and dying in the process." And it's insane to me that the robot doesn't notice you in the first place, or that, and more importantly, organic matter isn't detected in this airlock. Because that's what gets him in there in the first place.
That's what got him in there in the first place. He goes in there and fucks with the jetpack. That's a good point.
Right. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know.
Plot.
But and I mean that on the comeback. Like, he should be coming back again once he leaves.
Yeah.
Not that he, So, yeah.
Like the organic matter should still be detected, especially
right,
once it starts ripping its own body to pieces.
Yep. So, yes, by dying over and over, fucking part of the loop plays out here. It's like, okay, I need to fucking exit when he comes in. Great. And then, so I load it again. I do that, go through all that fucking slow animation shit again, wait for the robot again. And as soon as he enters, I duck around the doorway edge and out the door. So I I was on it, man. And even when I did that, the robot turns around and 100% sees me. Like, You know what I mean? Like
Right.
it doesn't happen. Like there's nothing. It doesn't register. The game doesn't kill me, but it obviously would have seen me turning around. You know, not that a robot should need to physically see me with its fucking eyes on its fake head, anyways. But you know what I mean? Like.
You should have sensors and shit for that, but I thought the same thing, because like when you leave, like its head turns.
Right, for sure.
So, yeah, I don't know, it's weird.
Yeah, and then you go into the next room, and yes, the door's closed behind you, but it's again, this like is completely flies in the face of the whole object permanence discussion we had earlier. Of like it just acts like okay, the robot never has to come out. It didn't notice you. We're just safe now. You know what I mean? Move on with the fucking game.
Yeah, they definitely don't follow this like the spider thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was a little like not perturbed, but agitated.
Inconsistent.
Yes, a lot of inconsistency. That's a good way to put it, for sure. But I think this for some reason I took stock of the score here. I had 161 out of 201 points here, so 80% done at this point, which I don't know, surprised me to some degree. I guess I felt that was closer to the end than I expected to be here.
You are actually kind of close.
Yeah, for sure. This room has an air duct vent fairly prominently protruding from the wall, as well as a very conspicuously placed large red trunk sitting right smack in the middle of the room on the floor. And there's a corridor entry to the right, but you're immediately popped by a ray gun wielding Sarien if you walk over there. So that's again like it's not a dead end, but it's a dead end.
Yep.
And you just pretty much let's cut the shit and push this trunk over so we can climb to the air vent situation here. And they will come into this room too. If you fuck around in here long enough, they'll actually come over as well. So you need to do this and do it fast, and you need to use your Xenon Army knife to unscrew the fucking screws on the thing. Which that's interesting. That again, I think you have to be from a certain time and place to even make this connection. Because if you look at that, it's like an army knife. Like, would a kid in 2023 even know what an army knife is? Like, an army knife is like one of those fucking, a Swiss Army knife that has like 8 billion tools. It was like a joke to me in my mind of the era that like, how many crazy ass tools can they fit on this Swiss Army knife? You know what I mean? Like, I definitely had one. I definitely wanted one so bad as a little Boy Scout kid,
Yeah. I don't know if kids today would necessarily. I know like more adults are carrying. I actually carry one of those gadgets in my school backpack.
Now they're called Leathermans.
That's exactly what it is. I have a Leatherman.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I found it in an
precisely.
Oberlin College dorm that I was cleaning out.
Okay.
I found that in like Game of Thrones season 3 on fucking.
But the funny thing about that too, though, the base Leatherman's the base tool is not a knife, right? It's like a set of pliers or something, isn't it? It's like a
it opens up into a set of pliers, and then it also has a knife. It also has screwdrivers.
Right, yeah.
This, that, and the other.
So that's it. I think that's a perfect encapsulation of like I don't know. Like I don't think an object that is sold on the basis of being a knife could do well today. That's why that is the more prominent product now, and Swiss Army knives have gone the way of the dodo, I think. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think they had it backwards.
It's the same exact thing.
You were trying to make a good knife with like functions attached to it when you should have made a good tool with a knife attached to it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if either's right or wrong. I think it's just emblematic of the
right.
times. I think it's emblematic of the times, I think a knife could sell then. Like giving a kid a knife was no big deal in 1990. Mm-hmm. Giving a kid a knife now is out of the question.
You're really asking for it.
Yeah. Even though there is a knife on there, you know what I mean?
Right.
So we move to the duct system, occupied by rats scurrying to and fro. You can go up or down. Going up, there's another vent. I kicked it open and hopped right out. So I kind of didn't fuck around in here. This is an instance of, like you were talking about, I didn't fully explore here. I happened to get lucky and just go the right way. Did you poke around in here, or did you just do this go up one and come out situation?
Yeah, don't worry. I explored.
Okay, yeah. I looked at the map.
Motherfuckers, and it's a loop.
Okay. Well, then I'm glad you did, because I didn't. In the hint book, I think the hint book, there was a map, and at the bottom of it is like, it says desert. I think you can like somehow, I don't know what that, I don't even know what it means. Did you like get teleported somewhere, or is there like I don't know, it made me think of Beetlejuice. You know what I mean? Like walk out of the house and there happens to be sandworm desert out here.
No, I guess I didn't. Maybe there was another exit that I didn't, like I just like went like up the ladder and then to the next thing, and then I went, you go up another ladder, you go to the next thing, and it's just a repeat. It just keeps doing that. Okay. There's like 3 screens that it repeats. So I did that a few times, didn't get anywhere. Up implying that maybe I'm going upward in the ship, towards something important. And then I broke off and took the next grate that you say, the one that you kick open. And then that just turned out to be the correct way. So if there's another path, I just by chance did.
And this is the washing machine room, right?
Yep.
Okay. So I hopped out, and there is a room with a large machine with a glass door on it. Inside is a Sarien helmet. So you open it up, inside's a helmet. And I was just trying to take the helmet out. I wasn't even trying to do what happened, but I hand icon the machine, and Roger just climbs right the fuck in.
Yeah. I was like, that's not what I was doing.
I was not planning to do that, and that seems like I'm careening towards the death now, you know? So that, to me, was pretty goofy. But yeah, so you get in, and then immediately a Sarien cat walks in and disrobes. He throws his uniform into the machine and starts it up, and then you were tossed around in the machine for far too long of a time.
So long, and I thought I was dead. I was like, I can't believe. Like, I didn't even want to do this.
Right, yeah, exactly. And so, yeah, eventually it stops on its own, and Roger climbs out, and the copy you get is, darn, static cling. Hey, look at that. By the most amazing stroke of luck, you've traded in your extremely conspicuous Xenon spacesuit for a Sarien officer's uniform complete with helmet. And this, of course, dramatically opens up your options for moving around the ship. You are now in disguise. But you were told all of your possessions were lost in the tumbling except one lucky Buckazoid. And did you think to do this, there's like some fucking dryer sheets strewn about the floor in front of the machine, and if you have to search through this and you get an ID card from it, or you will have trouble later, did you get that ID card?
Yeah, I searched. I feel like you can, I saw something on the ground, so I just clicked grab on it, and then it was the ID, so yeah.
Okay. So Bustin' Freem is the cardholder's name. No rank designation is mentioned. I don't know what that looks like it's supposed to be a joke, but I don't know what it is.
I didn't ID that one.
Okay. Here's the biggest question I got from this, though. This must be an all-in-one drying machine, then.
Apparently,
right? I mean,
right.
Yeah, there's dryer sheets below it, and it washes the thing because he throws a dirty one in. So I thought that pretty fucking interesting. And to me, that is an alien technology we should be trying to find and harness, because that would be a fantastic development, I think, to not have it a two-step process anymore. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, we definitely need to get our brightest minds on this and solve this problem.
100%. There's only one exit from here. Heading out of that to the next room, there are a couple of elevators, one of which is guarded by a Sarien, and there's exits to the right and down, and you can, interestingly, I think, converse in plain English with both the elevator guard and a looping background NPC that passes through the room and salutes you. So the Sariens speak English, and they don't look to be of... I guess, maybe what we need to accept here, we've talked about this a couple times now, maybe actually the theory that just popped in my head is, and you would hope we would be moving towards this as well, is to consolidate languages. We shouldn't be working on different languages. That's tribalism. We should be getting away from tribalism, and hopefully in this advanced sci-fi world that we're living in here, that all the creatures have gotten past that aspect of tribalism, and we all speak one collective language now, and maybe that's the answer to this question. But initially I was like, that's fucked up.
So there's what you just said is interesting, because moving towards one language, just as a sociological observation, there's many ways that you can do that. It was a few ways maybe, but one is that you just decide to stop using a language. I don't know that people really do that or ever have. I would say it doesn't really happen. But one way that you get rid of languages is to kill all the people that speak it. So,
yeah, that's possible.
The implication, here's the thing, no matter what resulted in English being the lingua franca of this universe, it would, certainly, maybe some people agreed, I'll just speak English instead of Chinese. But, the implication to me then would be that some people definitely died for this consolidation to happen. More typically, what people do in sci-fi settings like this is just you accept the existence, and they're just everywhere, universal translators.
Right, but we know for a fact that that's the interesting. I guess that's the most interesting thing about it to me. Maybe is that we have this puzzle situation earlier with the translator device. Here, it's not needed. We know we don't have it because we lost all our shit in the fucking washing machine. So
I guess you actually do have a translator, don't you?
Right. Yeah. So that's not a liberty taken for sure, because it's a part of the puzzle system. So
weird.
Yeah. It's another hiccup.
Yeah. So like in Star Trek, like the implication is just like everyone has like a universal translator installed in their head.
Right.
So like that's why you don't have to fucking dick around with all the translation. But yeah, they actually have that is weird actually.
Yeah. Well, the elevator guard indicates that this is an elevator to the captain's escape pod and that no one but the captain is allowed in, and the background NPCs that are circling they're everywhere on the ship, and this one is just as much of no significance as the rest of them that you'll see, so they don't say anything of note. They just salute you, I think, and move on. The exits to the right and down just form a circle to nowhere, so you're heading into that unguarded elevator no matter what. And this elevator takes you to the bottom floor of a bi-level screen. To the left from here is an elevator to the top floor, and to the right is the star generator room. And the star generator is guarded by a huge Sarien guard, and yes, he demands an ID card before he'll interact with you. And if you show him Bustin's ID, the only thing he says is a reminder of the self-destruct code. So he does give you that.
Does he? Oh, yeah. Shit! I didn't figure you could talk to him. He seemed like a no nonsense kind of guy.
He certainly does. I that's completely logical. If you take a look at the star generator, the copy you get is Cowabunga Wilco. This is it. It's the unimaginably powerful star generator, which must not, at any cost, be allowed to remain in the hands of the evil Sariens. But you knew that, right? And the biggest takeaway from this for me, is that they use the word Cowabunga here, and holy shit, were the Ninja Turtles a thing in the early 90s for that to be used here. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's the only reason that's there.
Instant Ninja Turtle vibes.
Right. Heading upstairs and moving through a couple otherwise uneventful hallways, you'll encounter a cleaning droid awaiting something useful to do, end quote, that surely has significance of some TBD kind. And across a catwalk above the star generator leads to a dead end where we find a weapons dispensary room manned by an android that is very, very salty about his menial job position. and he lets us know that his IQ is some astronomical number and that this work is far beneath him. He also tells Roger he needs an ID card because, absurdly in his view, he's not hardwired into the ship's system in a way that would alleviate the need for such formalities. And you show him your ID, he heads into the back room, and you are given enough time to look around the room while he's back there, which hopefully will give you the inclination to look at the grenades on the shelf behind the front counter. And the front counter has a section that folds up to allow you to walk back there, which also is kind of like, I don't know, I feel like a 15-year-old in 2023 might have a real problem figuring out, because I don't think these exist really anymore. They're like, some bars have them still, I guess, but even that is usually probably an old bar. Like it's an antiquated thing to have this like hinged part of a counter that flips up and flips down. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do. It's definitely an old thing you don't see anymore.
Yep.
Yeah, so actually that's a good point. I never thought about that. New players actually might have a hard time with that. Yeah. Younger players.
Right. So yeah, you flip that up and you can go back there and grab those grenades, but you have to do it before he comes back or he'll get pretty salty. Maybe even die. I don't think I tried testing the death here, but...
Oh, so you didn't have a problem. Did you... What did I do? I think I was behind the counter when he came out of the room, and he was like... He said some pretentious shit like, stupid organic, blah, 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 like, you know how he is, and then kills you.
Vapes you? Yeah, okay, yeah.
Did you put the hinge back down?
Yeah, so yeah, you have to. That's an important part of it. When you come back out, you have to put it back down.
I put it back down just out of like Mad Mike nervousness, you know, like leave it how you found it. So I'm like, message received, 39 years old. Okay, so I wasn't. But you didn't die here, so you didn't.
Yeah, I know
not put it down and then die.
I believe I know that's required from looking at the hint book that we'll get to. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they mentioned that in the hint book that you must do that.
Okay.
So the grenade is described as innocuous, and the weapon he retrieved is a pulse ray laser pistol that you are warned is not a play toy when examining. So, you know, he doesn't. If you grab him, get out of there, and just wait for him to come back, he will still bring you the laser pistol, which you will definitely need. Mm-hmm. And my game actually glitched out here. The robot just froze. Like, he just coming out of the room, or the back room, he froze, like, mid-stride, and never actually got back to the counter to hand me the pistol or anything. Like, I got he said the copy and the pistol went into my inventory, but he did not physically come up. I presume that did not happen to you. No. That's not just like some game code shit. Okay. So that's interesting. But yeah, I definitely had a moment of like, oh my God, this game's broke. which is, all too plausible. Coming out of there, we pass back over the Star Generator catwalk. On the way, I tried both the pistol and the grenade on the guard to see. The pistol didn't do shit, but the grenade does take him down. And I believe some smoke that made him pass. I think it's like a smoke bomb or smoke grenade, and it makes him pass out. It does not explode in any incendiary way. And you are, of course, heading to the elevator to get back downstairs here. And just before you reach it, Roger trips over and falls to the ground, I think probably unavoidably.
I actually couldn't believe it. I was so invested at that point that I was like, he tripped and fell. I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. He's actually kind of clumsy at other points in the game, too.
Right.
He falls in great. He's fucking
No, I will admit I was genuinely surprised. It was not like, oh, I see this coming kind of thing. It's definitely out of nowhere. So the helmet rolls off and away when he does so. And in incredibly lazy fashion, Roger does not hurry to it, and the very slow janitor droid comes and collects it. So he takes it, and it makes your disguise as a Sarien now useless because your head is exposed, even though you still got the uniform on. So you're told these boys shoot first and ask questions later, so you better be on your toes moving forward. And I immediately encountered one of the background patrollers coming out of the elevator, and this works the same way every time. They pull out their pistol, but they miss on the first shot, so you have time to return fire and zap their asses, go to your inventory, get the gun, and shoot, right? So they...
Well, you're playing with the mouse, right? I literally know that you are. Did you know that I actually had this written down as a note, and then I crossed it off because I was like, there's no fucking way he doesn't. Did you know that the right button cycles through your actions?
Yeah, I did. I remember that. I don't think I ever used it.
Okay.
But yes, I remember that. But yes, that's a very useful tool for trying to do anything.
Yeah, I was like
fast.
75% through the game before I figured that out.
Yeah. Searching the Star Generator guard's crumpled body once you get down there reveals a remote control for turning off the Star Generator's force field, which it had a force field around it, so you couldn't get to it before. And once you do that, the hand icon that you have to hand icon the flashing light that's near the base of the thing to bring up a code entry interface, and that's where you punch in the 8731 code. You've been fed a few times. Was your code that same code or no?
What was yours?
8731.
8731. Mine was like 61 something. So
okay,
another copyright control.
That changes too. Well, that's not copyright control. That's just different every time. So
I guess
there's nowhere to that doesn't refer back to the manual anyway.
No.
So that's interesting.
81 was yours? 81 something?
8731, yeah.
87. I have written down for some reason, I don't know why, 8374, but I don't think that ever came into play. I don't.
Well, here's the thing, especially if you had to go back to if you reloaded in that control room deal, that is probably where the number gets generated, you know what I mean? So
yeah, maybe.
Maybe that's why you would have wrote down an incorrect number for this.
Who knows? I was in a fucking hurry.
The interface reads self-destruct sequence engaged, and then have a nice day before cutting back to the room where you now have a 5-minute timer till detonation, as foretold by the scientist log on the archive cart you read through on Corona. And at this point, I had 197 of 201 points, so I was like, okay, it's fucking over. And that kind of surprised. Like, I did not expect... I expected there to be some points that you could get lost in the fire, you know what I mean? I did not think that, like, the obvious or necessary flowchart of the game... I guess it's just a commentary on the difference between these. Like, right now I'm playing that Asgard's Wrath game I've been talking about nonstop in the fucking text thread, the group thread. Dude, it's Skyrim, dude. I'm playing Skyrim. It's fucking Skyrim in VR. It is fucking incredible, and it's just like Skyrim in the way that it has just a billion side quests, and there are, like, all these, like... If you're fucking a collectathon, it's fucking just, it's just jerk-off material. So, like, I'm trying to 100% this game, and there's just a million fucking things. And it's just like a completely different game design mentality. And like, some people even, I think, talk shit about it and call it like extra padding. Like that time could be spent on building through the main narrative, or building on the main narrative rather, in constructive and interesting ways, as opposed to this time and bandwidth spent on just bullshit side stuff, So that's, its own discussion, I suppose. But it is no question a difference in philosophy for game design, where all we have is the main deal. There's no hidden anything. Like, you need to do all these things, and that's what the points mean.
Though I will say, so I figured this would be a point of discussion. So you've got how many points at this point?
197.
I took a picture of my screen right before I finished the game, and I have 193.
Really? Okay,
Yes.
That is interesting then.
So there is something like that, I think.
Something that can get a lot. Well, it's probably my only guess.
God, what would it have been?
The sticky shit, maybe? Something to do with the stick, because there's two ways to get that, so maybe if you don't do both, And then the water thing, you said you didn't use the water the one time.
The second time, I did not use the water because I knew how to go, so maybe I didn't have to do that. Huh.
So those are two options. And we can go, there's point lists. This can be figured out, actually.
Of course that exists. Everything exists.
And there are differing point lists, like I mentioned last time, of both the SCI and AGI versions, too. So it's kind of interesting to look at.
We'll have to look at that, because I definitely, right before I got on, I'm looking at the picture, 193.
Yeah, I spent a whole, I did, we're very close to it, but after, let's just talk to the thing, we'll talk about that when we get there. So, you have to firefight your way from the star generator to the captain's escape pod, that elevator with the guard. You kill the guard in front of that. And he's no different than popping a cap in the normal, kind of just wandering NPCs, so that's no big deal. You come out of the elevator there, and there's nothing to do but hop in the ship, and it auto-fires right off the screen. And we cut to a far-off vantage of the Sarien ship. Your little jet fires out of it and off-screen before the cruiser explodes, and the word kaboom appears in huge letters across the screen. And you hear a couple of, I heard them here, and that's what made me think to do this, but you hear a couple of point accumulation music cues coming out of the elevator into this room after hopping in the ship, and I was thinking I'd likely hit 201, but it wouldn't let me bring up the icon bar to check. Mm-hmm. So I had some angst that maybe I didn't get. I didn't actually finish this fucking thing.
I guess how could you ever know?
Right. You actually can. So I ended up loading and rechecking this. But once after the kaboom happens, like once you fly off and the kaboom happens, you can move your mouse and bring the title bar back up. And I was able to see that I had 201.
Gotcha.
Cuts from that to an explosion, or cuts from that explosion to Roger speeding towards a very Earth-like planet, and the closing theme swelling beneath it. This is Xenon, and we go from there to a live event in a town square-like area of some kind where Roger's being honored. He's going up on stage with an officious-looking fellow and what sure looks to be, like, to me anyways, the three-breasted lady from the rocket bar in a bikini this time. So that's fun and interesting. And she holds out a mop in a presentation-minded manner, and the man speaks as a rocket ship circles in the sky behind him. This cat says, Roger Wilco, we, the people of Xenon, extend our limitless appreciation and eternal gratitude for your acts of heroism. Now, if you'd only been smart enough to bring along the data cartridge containing the construction specifications, we'd be able to build a new star generator, thereby saving Xenon from the horrors of a rapidly cooling planet. Oh well, you're just a janitor. It is my honor to present you with the coveted golden mop, a symbol of pride and accomplishment to members of your esteemed profession. Henceforth, and for all time, you'll be known as the hero of Xenon. And Roger drops to one knee, not unlike a knight being knighted, and the speaker takes the mop from the three-breasted car convention girl and hands it over to Raj. Fireworks boom in the distant sky. Roger stands to cheers from all the attendees. Well, Roger, and this is no longer the guy speaking, this is like the narrator speaking to you. The copy reads, well, Roger, you did it. You saved the galaxy, received your profession's most noble tribute, and got the girl. So it's suggesting, I guess you go home with the convention girl? I don't know. There's no, that's the only possible takeaway from that, I think.
There's nothing else to be said for this? Like, in that sentence? Because I remember... Mine, oh my god, you got a different.
Oh wait, yeah, sorry, no, yeah, there's more copy.
Oh
here,
god, I'm so sorry. I was like that. You got all the points, so you actually got more. Oh, okay.
A different ending, yeah. No. Yeah, so that text sits on the screen, yes. The rocket ship whizzes by yet again, but it's shot down by one of the fireworks bursts, so that's pretty fun. And it crashes to the ground. And then we get some more copy that reads, wait a minute, there wasn't any girl. Sorry. Well, you got the mop. Anyway, from now on, Xenon's your oyster. All you have to do now is sit back and let the book and movie offers roll in. Who knows? Maybe you'll even have a series. And now, as the sun sets on the peaceful blue planet Xenon, and Roger Wilco's first adventure, yes, I'm afraid there's more. We hope you will remain in your seat long enough to let us express our limitless appreciation. And then pixelation fades to a computer screen where the screen credits roll before a dialogue box eventually pops up that says, thanks for playing Space Quest 1. As usual, you've been most entertaining. And you can either restore, restart, quit. And I picked quit. Jab, what did you pick?
I picked quit, and then I called you immediately.
Right. Yeah, so it does. I think
that would have been the perfect fucking the way to do those. Like if you don't get, if you get X amount of, if you get, 90% of the points, you get one ending. If you get 95%, you get another. And if you get 100%, you get the best ending.
Yep.
Like you should have gotten the girl for getting all the points.
Right, the three-breasted girl. Yeah, for sure.
And you would deserved it.
Yeah, no. So yeah, it's interesting that there isn't some. They didn't,
I wonder if they do them in later games, because this is their first time, so maybe they made refinements going forward.
Yeah, like I said, there was
so easy. I mean, that seems obvious.
Right, there was a very heightened expectation that there was some, again, that the points mattered more. I've already said it kind of. Yeah, that they meant that they weren't just an indication of progress of a flowchart you were working through no matter what. You know what I mean? So yeah, I was surprised that they didn't have more significance. So maybe they will later, and that's why I feel that way. Hint book tips decoder reveal time. And the first thing of note in here to me is, in Yulin Flats, if you take the first offer, so yeah, they talk about the series, if you take the first offer for the skimmer from that pimp, you don't get the jetpack, and you're fucked.
Yeah, I guess. Oh, what would you do?
Nothing, you just die, you're fucked.
But you got to get the ship, right?
Well, you get that doesn't matter. The whole thing is the only way to get into that ship.
No, I understand that. I'm saying, but you get into your ship that you buy.
Right.
Then what happens? You go to the star generator ship and you're just dead.
You just float off into space. Yeah, the droid navigated ship goes away and you just float off into space. That's what I mean. You're fucked. But you don't know you're fucked until much later.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Not to mention he'd have no way of attracting the cleaning droid in the airlock anyways even if he got in there. Yep. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe they fixed it for the SCI version, but I doubt it. Yeah, I don't know. I guess there's a way to encounter another hustler in Yulin that will tell you to come look at the ship he has to sell you, and he just mugs you. I missed out on that. That didn't happen to you, did it?
Wait, what was it?
There's another hustler in Yulin's Flats, so I guess if you wander around enough or something, or hang around behind the bar, it doesn't say where it is, but you can bump into a mugger, basically, and he just takes your dough.
Oh, no, this did not happen to me.
Yeah, that didn't happen to me either, so that would have been pretty
fun.
fun.
What happens in this game?
Yeah.
I'm honestly surprised.
And especially there, too, I guess what would the points be awarded, but I was thinking there's another instance there. Is there a way? I guess there's probably no way to get out of it, so what could you do positive? It's just a random dead end, basically. Did you have any that were of significance to you of these hint book deals?
What did I didn't know how to do. Since I didn't use the water, I don't think I opened the survival pack. So I had to look up how to get that hatch open.
Okay.
On the ship, because I go into my thing and I'm like, I didn't see anything that seemed like it could open a grate, and then I was like, oh shit, I think survival thing, and then I looked in there, and sure enough, Xenon or Xenu or whatever knife was in there.
Word, yeah. Like I said, the only one I had to do was the fucking bar shit. So that's pretty good. One of however many puzzles there are.
Yeah, I think I used it for something else. I can't remember. Too much credit. Oh, the 3-boob lady is here.
Is there? Yeah, there's artwork.
Oh yeah, she's 22 page here.
Yeah, she's. Yeah. What does it say here? What is the copy for her? One of the number of alien bimbets designed for the bar scene. This particular sketch fantasied aspects of alien anatomy that we felt had been overused, so it was de-emphasized in the final version. Ultimately, the close-up of the bimbet was never used, so they had a close-up they took out. That's an interesting fact.
Huh. But they also kind of used it, didn't they?
Well, she's there, but you don't get, like... I think what it's saying is it actually cut to her with her three breath, probably jiggling.
Yes, as the pixels jiggled then.
Right.
Yeah, it would have been like the Clacon salesman.
Right, precisely.
Yeah, gotcha.
So page 30 gets into the Deltor, the Sarien ship, and the airlock section mentions that the cleaning droid can absolutely vape your ass if you dawdle too long ducking through the door after he enters. So I guess it does. When we talked about how I was sure it saw me.
Right.
But I guess it takes a moment to register you before that happens. So you know. I guess.
Yeah, and actually, the Sariens on the ship, like there was a couple times where like I was approaching the edge of the screen to get to the next one, and like they came onto the screen. It's not instant that they react to you, so
sure.
That definitely happened elsewhere in the game.
A little forgiving, yeah. The very last one on leaving the spaceship mentions you can have the data cart to give to the Xenon scientists so they can have the data to build another star generator, and I don't see how that's possible.
No, because it actually very specifically says that it like disappeared when you're in the washer dryer.
Right, precisely. Yeah. So I guess my only logic was that maybe I didn't check inside the washer. Man, so I like this was
did, though.
Right. See, this was important enough to me that dude, I was done. I was going through the hint book after I finished the game, and I'm like, I got to know that. I go back, I load, I work my way back to that spot, and checked, and no, like there's nothing.
You like looked in there, I take it?
Yeah, there's no dryer. There's just the dryer sheet pile, and you can't do anything. There's nothing inside the machine. So, I got even more so. I got the 201 points. So, like, how would you not get points for getting that? Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, I guess you are getting something back to your inventory, but still, like. I don't know. It doesn't seem possible to me. I don't understand.
Yeah, that's weird. Maybe they like had that idea and then didn't make the final version or something.
Didn't execute it. Yeah,
they already sent the fucking files to the book company. They're like, we're not changing that. So,
I guess yeah, but you'd think the hint book would be built after the fact too, though. You know, I don't know. But again, it's just a handful of people, and communication is probably not great.
Writing fucking letters and sending to developers in Japan or something like.
Yeah,
16-week lead time to hear from somebody again.
No. Yeah, I went through, I pulled up that fucking point list, that like the two different versions, to see if I could find any mention of reclaiming the data card in either one. Saw it in neither, and I was googling around trying to find answers to this. Yeah, nothing about it at all. So I don't know if you know the answer to that little conundrum. Please do write in and let us know what the fuck the verdict is on that. 'Cause I don't see how that's possible
for sure.
And then there's pages of flowchart-style text box maps of each area in the game. And yes, this is where I saw that the ventilation shaft on the Deltor, the only way to get anywhere helpful in this route is, what I lucked out going through, one level up from the entry point. But if you go 2 screens down from the entryway, the map points to the words open desert. And I don't know what that is, but it sounds pretty fucking bad. So you must be able to get to. I'm guessing it just maybe my logic is maybe it just drops you back onto Corona is the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, it could be.
But that's got to just be a death. You'd think
like a golden saucer in Final Fantasy VII situation, maybe.
Right.
Which you probably don't know, but
right, exactly. I was just being accommodating by saying right.
Sure.
Then they have profiles on Roger, the Sariens on the whole, and the Coronians at large, and these are kind of fun. So let us please read Roger. Could you read Roger's?
I can. Roger Wilco's career has gone from the depths of the trash compactor to the heights of glory. From humble beginnings as a janitor, junior grade, aboard the research vessel Arcada, Roger has gone on to become one of the most admired figures in the galaxy through his exploits in the Space Quest series. He could be considered the ultimate overachiever, having far exceeded any reasonable expectations of his abilities. On the other hand, he might only be the luckiest sucker to ever draw a breath.
Man, they never let up with the just haplessness of him.
Yeah, just very like everyman, like
Right.
Not a hero.
Below every man, the most inept of every man.
Yeah, that's true. Right?
Or of every man, I should say. The next one is on the Sariens, and this reads: the Sariens are the nomads of the galaxy, having buried every living thing on their homeworld under 5,000 meters of fast food containers and sweepstakes mail. That's a great.
That's
good. Without a planet, those are again the sweepstakes mail. Like that's just doesn't exist.
You either get it or you don't.
Yeah. Yep. Either from the time or not. I was watching. What the hell was I watching last night? The Weird Al Yankovic, which I recommend. It's fucking weird. I can't believe I liked it. Like it's so the movie kind of movie. Like I didn't like his music. I hated those parody songs. I hate all of them.
Great.
Yeah, they're awful. I think they're terrible. And that's of course it's about that, but like the movie is just unrelentingly false. It's like it presents itself as a biopic, but it is insane, and it's just
about who? I don't know what you're talking about.
Weird Al Yankovic.
It's his. No, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's his biopic.
Okay.
You don't know who Weird Al Yankovic is?
I do, of course. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's his biopic. So it's like it presents itself as like this factual recounting of his story.
Okay.
But it's just like it's not. It's just an insane. Like it has this whole relationship with Madonna that's fucking insane, and they go down to fucking South America. She gets captured by Pablo Escobar, and he has to go down there to South America to rescue her. Shit, it's fucking insane. It's fucking absolutely batshit insane. But the whole point being is he gets down there to Pablo Escobar's birthday party, and the Pablo Escobar is fucking is a huge Weird Al Yankovic fan in the movie, and when he gets down there, the little moment they have together, Pablo's explaining why he likes Weird Al Yankovic's music, and he said he got hip to it via Columbia House Music Club, and he got 12 CDs for the price of 1 cent, and it was a great deal. Right, it's just yeah, you have to be.
Like you might not be old enough to get that. Just like
yeah, for
you
sure.
have to look it up.
Yeah, but if you do get it, holy fuck, is it good?
Yeah.
So yeah, this is one of those I think sweepstakes now. Without a planet to call their own and unwelcome on everyone else's, they wander from sector to sector doing dirty deeds for anyone without the Buckazoids to hire them. Although the cosmos contain a diverse spectrum of life forms, the Sariens are universally considered among the ugliest and worst dressed. And then the last one we have here is the Coronians. If you can handle that.
I can. At first, the Coronians appear to have originated in the nightmares of Dr. Seuss, but in fact they are a gentle and studious people, keeping largely to themselves and the smattering of small towns and outposts on the planet Corona. Legends tell of vast Coronan civilization beneath the planet's surface, but no outsider has ever reported seeing it. Coronans are extremely suspicious of strangers in general, but there are stories of them rendering aid to lost travelers. So Roger, first one ever to really see the inner workings.
Yeah.
Damn.
Again, the unextraordinary doing the extraordinary.
Just ass backwards into it.
Yeah. Last thing is a points list, then credits, and that is it for this literature of antiquity. And yeah, man. I mean, it feels its age for sure. But it wasn't nearly the impossible flowchart I think these games have the rap of being.
No, not nearly. Doing it with the mouse, the VGA version is like, wow.
So much better, yeah.
It's like unbelievably better. Like legit, I'm excited to play these, and I could see them like this being like a favorite genre of mine. So yeah, I'm excited.
Yep, they're good. Yeah, and like, yeah, I feel like I kind of lucked into some fortunate results that maybe influences that. Maybe the latter ones will be a little more painstaking, probably.
Yeah, because you had something to draw on a little bit.
Right, yeah, and I imagine that, that overarching sentiment for these games doesn't come from nowhere. So I imagine there's probably some hiccups to be had, but I'm down.
Yeah, I mean, but then again, I don't think I had anything to draw on myself, and I navigated just fine. And maybe subconsciously, like I said, there's that part in the desert where I thought I remember doing it, but I don't know. Either way.
Yep, I would definitely do more of these, and I want to, like we've been talking in the text thread, I want to do a console side quest after the holidays first. But what do you think you want to do with this rudderless edit config.sys quest ship next?
Do we have all of the VGA files?
We can get. I think they're all on archive.org. I would not. Well, and I also, they don't have to be one of these Sierra games. Like there are some games I don't know if you remember the one I had, Betrayal at Krondor, which was a little more modern-y, but very much a fantasy, medieval fantasy type game. There's the D&D joint, Pools of Radiance, of course. And then, it's pretty funky, I think, but I think we could still have some fun doing it if we did some quadruple X action, some maybe Mu or Civ 2 are possibilities too that I think maybe are a little weird for this format, but there's plenty to talk about, I think.
I didn't know that was a consideration in your mind. Yeah, we could think about that. Yeah, I would say maybe, I don't know, you maybe want to do Space Quest 2 or maybe King's Quest 1 just to get into the flow.
Yeah, I'm fair with that. Or I'm fine with that, rather. I think Police Quest is...
God,
I remember
so
King's
curious.
Quest 1. King's Quest 1, honestly, I hate it more than any... I don't hate it. That's the least fun King's Quest, in my opinion. So
But you played it on VGA?
I'm sure I have played it on VGA. I know I've played the shit out of 1 and 2 on the text parser versions. And it's just less interesting, I think.
Yeah.
And I think the first Police Quest will be wild.
Okay, let's do Police Quest then. I am really curious about that.
All right. Sold. Subscribe to the pod on the platform provided. Whatever dumbass company serves up your pottery, please rate and leave positive shit for the pod on whatever platform you do listen to if you enjoy our nonsense. The website is nyhentertainment.com/ISOH pod. You can email us directly at isohpodcast@gmail.com. Follow the pod and banter with us on the Facebook page, Instagram, and subreddit, and talk shit to us about our gameplay videos on the YouTube. The links to all those will be in the show notes. We don't have a Patreon, but if you like giving money to things podcasters tell you to, and would like to do so in our direction, the Able Gamers Foundation creates custom gaming rigs for gamers with disabilities. And that's cool as fuck, and they have lots of holiday fundraising shit going on right now. I actually have one on our Instagram that you can donate to that will go directly 100% to them if you want to check that out. Or their website is ablegamers.org, and there are t-shirts on the website. They're dope, and proceeds on those at their pod expenses go to Able Gamers. I'm wearing one right now with some cool-ass Dead Chaos. What are the... Dead Thieves laying at his feet. Jab, what are your socials?
None. I'm actually going to get rid of my phone, so I'm actually trying to get away from socials even further. So none.
Okay.
Ever.
There is MPO Box 0031 on Instagram anyways, though, if you want to find that to track down a residue of Jab's existence that sometimes comes out of my interpretations of it. And you can find me on Twitter at Josh Folan, on Instagram at my shift key is broke, and that is my Oculus tag as well if you want to get down in some Dungeons of Eternity or any shit like that. Okay, bye.
Later.